We'll be live!
We'll be live.
Oh my god, this never gets old for me. I don't know why. Hi everyone. We're here live. We're going to be answering Patreon questions and also discussing some news that Harris Sultan has for us. And then when we're done with that, we're going to bring up YouTube members to come and ask their questions live on air. So
Yes.
yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. So let me actually show you how this works. Harris, you should do this as well.
I'm just doing it now.
I think you should. Oh,
I always
but
forget.
you should. No, but this is what I mean. You should so if you go on Secular Jihadist Patreon account, I post a link there, and then under it you could comment with your questions, and there I will ask your questions live on air here. So we have some really good questions today, by the way, right? Hi everyone. Ian is here. Soha is here. Also, we also answer super chats. If you want to do super chat either on the Secular Jihadist YouTube channel or on Harris Sultan YouTube channel, we answer those as well. Oh, Prometheus is here. Hi from Mount Olympus. Hi. Again, this is inaccurate. Prometheus would not be allowed in Mount Olympus, so this is wrong.
Hi.
Well, because he's screwed up.
Well, what did it do?
He stole fire.
Oh, okay. I thought him as this person, whoever that is, he did something wrong.
Yeah. Hey, I want to start with this question. This is a pretty good question. How does Islam view the use of sex toys between spouses?
Didn't we talk about this?
No.
We talked about.
We talked about BDSM.
Yeah, we talked about BDSM. Look, we're gonna have to ask a mufti for a fatwa.
Well, I mean, I have some contradictory answers here for you.
Really?
Do you want to see? Yeah.
I don't want to ask chat.
You want to see? No. I have actual websites.
I think last week we screwed up our episode. We did too much chat GPT. I think people don't want it from chat GPT. People want our views on it. So
yeah, okay. Well, we can do that. Here. So we could actually, before we answer this question, I will tell you, okay, I assume that there's no problem, okay, because my view is that if Islam doesn't specifically have something in it that says you can't do it, then I can get away with it, right? So I think sex toys will be wrong if you're using them to masturbate, because masturbation is wrong in Islam. But so if you're using like a dildo, okay, by yourself, that'd be wrong Islamically. But if the same dildo is being used by your husband, for example, on you within marriage, then I think that would be fine. Islamically, that would be fine, right? So that's my assumption always. Like, if you don't have something specific in Islam that says like no, then Harris, last time I checked, there's no mention of dildos in the Quran or the Hadith. Is there?
No, there isn't. But not that I know of. But dildos do predate Islam. But generally, that's not entirely how Islam works. We know there's a process of ijtihad. For example, there's no mention of smoking either, but it is unanimously agreed upon that it is makruh and it is not encouraged, and you should refrain from it. So there are a lot of things that have not directly been answered by the Quran or the Hadith or by the four ayyamas. Ayyamas, that they call them, imams, the plural of imams, like Maliki and Hanbali and Shafi and Hanafi. So the process of ijtihad keeps on going. So, for example, there would be that you can't take anything out of the Quran or the Hadith or even the four Iyamas, the four traditional schools of thoughts, what to do, whether you should do speeding or not. But the Saudi cleric actually issued a fatwa that if you die while speeding, then that would be, in the eyes of Islam, that would be considered a khudkushi, like self. By the way, if you are feeling anything, please, we do not encourage that. You need to speak with someone if you are feeling low. But in the eyes of Islam, if you die speeding or doing some other risky activities, then it would be considered as sinful as being as suicide. So these are new fatwas, and that they achieve or they arrive at these conclusions through the process called ijtihad. So I have a feeling, as sexually regressive Islam is, I would think, I don't know what Armin is about to show you, I would think that this would be looked down upon, or some muftis might have even called it haram. So what do you got, Armin?
Well, I have two contradictory websites. One of them says employing sex toys during intercourse. In the name of Allah. Okay, no, there is a question. Question: is it permissible to use external clitoral vibrator on one's wife during intercourse?
On one's wife. So you're doing it someone else's wife. No, it could be your own wife too.
No, your own wife. Okay. So, answer: in the name of Allah, most compassionate, most merciful. Sexual relations between the spouses are vital and one of the most important aspects of marriage. It purifies and prevents one from falling into fornication and unlawful. As such, the spouses may fulfill their sexual needs in any way they desire, as long as it does not violate any injunction of Sharia. Okay, so far so good. Islam also generally abstained from placing too many restrictions with regards to bedroom behavior. Rather, with the exception of certain harmful and unhealthy practices, it left it to the spouses as how they should enjoy one another in their sexual relations. From the various forms of pleasing one another, the usage of sex toys, such as vibrators, dildos, lubricants, etc., has become or is becoming a common phenomenon. And Islamically, there is nothing wrong in using such toys, provided the following conditions are met. 1. The toy must not be harmful in any way to the spouses, for inflicting harm upon yourself is unlawful. So that basically takes out canes and, any other torture device. Zappers are out of the question. Damn it. That's all the good stuff are out. 2. The toy must not have an inanimate figure to it. What does that mean?
What does that mean? Animate figure to it, like. Oh yeah, so it shouldn't. It can't have. Well, yeah, the toy must not have like an anaconda on it or some. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So if you have a sex toy that looks like a snake or whatever animal or something.
Donkey Kong.
Yeah. So the Donkey Kong part of it is a problem. The dick. What if like dildo looks like a dick? What if a dildo looks like a dick? So no, it has to be like actually not a human dick. It has to look just like a dildo, without like making it.
Dildos do look.
No. You know what I mean? Like actually, like a human dick with all the details that makes it more like a dick.
With the head.
Yeah. Exactly. With the veins and the mushroom head and everything. That would look too much. That would be animated.
What about the color of it?
Yeah. Maybe use like a bright pink color or a blue color so that it avoids making it like a human dick.
So her husband doesn't feel embarrassed that hang on, I haven't got that big.
Okay, so that makes sense. 3. It should not be inserted into the inner private part of the woman. Wait, what?
What's the freaking point of that? It's just a vibrator. It's just basically vibrating the clitoris.
What are you talking about? Rather, only such toys should be used that stimulate the outer private parts, such as the clitoris. Wait a minute. Why would you even have a dildo? So you just said up there that dildos are okay, but this number 3 just makes vibrate. Like why? Oh my god.
Yeah, because Armin.
So vibrating.
It comes with terms and conditions, Armin. I told you, Islam is not a sex-positive religion. It's just not. Without even knowing this, I just told you there would be so many stupid terms and conditions, all of them would be from the male perspective. Because if you insert the penis up the dildo, then that would be basically the dildo is assuming the role of her husband, and her husband is being negated in a way that, okay, I don't need you anymore. I've got this. So a husband has become redundant in this very intimate part of the relationship.
Yeah.
It is such a man-made
Well,
religion. Nuria made a very good point, and I looked at it, like the story of Zainab, Muhammad's daughter-in-law. We always looked at it from a male's perspective, that, oh yeah, Muhammad wanted this, Muhammad wanted that. But then Nuria made a point that women do use sex as a tool. Why don't we blame Zainab? But maybe Zainab actually wanted it too, and she also. So a separate story. But I'm just saying, like,
yeah, that's a separate story.
It's a separate story. But I'm just quickly
Let's
saying,
get back to
like,
sex.
I'm making a point that all of this, everything that we look at, because look at this, all these imams, all these muftis, they're all men. They're looking at it from a male's perspective.
Okay, let's get to the question. Okay, so next it says, if the above conditions are taken care. Wait, hold on. Let me read it from the screen instead. If the above conditions are taken care of, coupled with the permission and consent. Wow, Islam caring about consent. That's a new one. Of the spouse, then there seems no hindrance from employing such toys. Having said that, it must be remembered that it is unlawful to use such toys alone to alleviate one. Yes, so masturbation is wrong, right? To alleviate one's loneliness, etc. For this would be considered a form of masturbation, which is unlawful, haram, and sinful. Therefore, if there is a fear that by using these toys during intercourse with one's spouse, one may be tempted to employ them when alone, then they must be avoided altogether. And Allah knows best.
Allah knows best. I love it how they ended. They give all the answers, and then they say Allah knows best. So why the hell did we ask you? If Allah knows best, screw you. Go F yourself.
Here's a shorter one, and it gets right to the point. Okay, so here's another website that issues fatwas and stuff. Question: is it allowed? No, this is question wrong. You should say, is it allowed to use sex instruments in Islam, like penis, vibrators, and other sex instruments for single women and men? Oh, single, obviously not. Okay.
Yeah. I think that's where they
messed up. Yeah, they messed up. All perfect praise to perfect. Wow, I've never heard that before. All perfect praise to Allah, the Lord of the worlds. Wow, that sounds actually pretty Lord of the Ring like. I testify that there is none worthy of worship except Allah, and that Muhammad is his slave and messenger. According to the Sharia, it is unlawful for the Muslim to use these instruments. Oh, altogether. Wow, this is completely different. Their users are contradicting the correct fitra, natural predisposition upon which Allah created mankind, and going beyond what Allah has made lawful to them. Allah says, and those who guard their chastity, private parts from illegal sexual acts, except from their wives, their captives and slaves that their right hand possesses. Well, what happened to consent then? Look, there's no consent. Like, so you could have sex with your slaves. There's no consent. For then they are free from blame. But whoever seeks beyond that, then those are the transgressors. Okay, but this is not a good verse to refer to, because the verse doesn't say what is illegal. It's just like, it's just don't do illegal sexual acts. Okay. Well, can you be more specific, Quran? Like, I don't know, does that include sex toys or not? Doesn't say. So you're referring to a Quranic verse that is not very specific as proof. And then it continues, using such instruments have very bad side effects. Wait, what? On the person using them. No, it doesn't. It makes the person lose interest in the opposite sex. No, actually not if you use them correctly. In fact, you could use them to edge somebody until the point that they beg you to fuck them. So wait, where is he? Okay. Lose interest in the opposite sex. And this is against the natural law of the cosmos. Wow, the cosmos doesn't want you to use sex toys, and because wow, I didn't know blame it on the cosmos. Yes, all the galaxies and the black holes, everything, the laws of the physical universe prohibits you from using sex toys. Sure. And it can lead to disaster. Wait, I need a citation for it. How do sex toys could lead to disaster? Yeah, maybe if you don't use like proper lubing. Yeah, true. That's yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's what
Allah
they meant
said
by disasters. That's not what they're
that's not what I
basically going.
mean.
Yeah, they're going by, this is Daniel Akikachu line of reasoning. This is going straight from like, oh, if you do this, then you don't need men. You don't need men. That's it. The family system is destroyed. Women become uncontrollable. They're no longer in your control, and that's the end of the society as we know it. That's what they meant by it's going to lead to disasters.
Mm-hmm. Allah says, and He creates the two mates, the male and female, from a sperm drop when it is emitted. Okay, you're right. This is a very male perspective religion, because like, what about, is it just the sperm is just half the equation, sir? The use of vibrators and similar sexual instruments causes defects to the genital parts of their users. Not if you use them correctly. Where is this? Where are you getting? Where's the citation for this? Okay, guys, this like, learn how to educate yourself on the proper use of sex toys, and it doesn't have to cause any defects. What defects? What defects? If only if you like shove something too big in your a-hole without lubes.
She's not gonna need a husband. That's what they're
No,
going
is it? No, they're talking about like maybe whoever wrote this, I think they shove a too big of a butt plug in their asshole, and now they're suffering from it. If you want to shove something up there, start small, start proper lubing, okay? Maybe just go half inside, and then like work your way up there. Like don't go all the way in. We advise him or her to apply the Sharia remedy. Sharia remedy to sexual desire, that is fasting, lowering the gaze. That's not going to help it. Lowering the gaze is going to make things worse. And abiding by what Allah has prescribed and avoiding what He has forbidden. I think I think either intentionally or unintentionally, they want people to. This whole meme of Islam works in making young people suffer, right? Because you're like constantly, oh my God, I need to get laid. They're like, no, you have to wait, and you have to come to Islam for us to give you pussy. Okay, if you want pussy, you have to ask Islam to give it to you. So you make these people crazy, these horny people, like no masturbation, no sex before marriage, like, oh my God, give me pussy. And like, okay, this is the only way, and you have to come submit to Islam for us to give you the pussy. And people are like, okay, just tell me, I'll do anything, just give it to me. So I think this is a good strategy to just make people submit more to Islam.
It's look, as I said, like it's all from a man's perspective, and it puts men at the forefront of everything. All the consequences that are going to come out of anyone's actions, especially in marriage or interpersonal relationships between men and women, is always from a man's perspective. That, okay, how is it going to impact our men? And I get it. It's not entirely that, because men have to pay a price as well. I think you made a very good point a few streams ago that men also suffer in Islam. But that's not how it was designed to be. In the time of Muhammad, men actually they didn't have to suffer at all. They could have 4 wives. So there was a culture of having multiple wives, if you can afford it. Okay. So if you can't afford it, that's fine. I mean, rich man always wins, I guess. But you could also have as many sex slaves as you want. So it was just, if you're horny, you can just go to a slave market and you can pick any slave girl you want, and voila, that's it. You're satisfied. Women always had to pay a price, but now the world has evolved, and now we don't have these slave markets anymore. And in certain other countries, like especially, I think in Iran, I don't know if Iran is big on encouraging. I don't know if the Iranian society encourages polygamy as it does in the Arab countries.
They tried, they failed.
Oh, okay, they failed. So in Pakistan, there's no culture of that. These clerics have been trying to promote it, but it's still frowned upon if you go and have a second wife. So a lot of these men who actually go for a second marriage or a third marriage, they do it in secret. So they're also issuing fatwas that if you do it in secret, then that's haram. So my point is, everything, especially now,
It's allowed by a law, but you can be murdered by your wife while you're sleeping if you want a second wife, right? So it's allowed by the law and by the religion, but do you want to live? Basically, that's how it works.
I don't know. No, what do you mean? I don't get it.
I mean, I'm saying the Iranian woman is such a like they do not accept. Well, yeah, the law allows you, but I have you the fear of the Iranian woman is higher than the fear of both Allah and the law. That's what I'm saying.
Hey, Armin, is your mic? Can you check your mic settings? Your voice is a bit. It's not right. There's something wrong with it. I don't know if you're using a standard.
Oh, really?
Mic. Or maybe Okay, no, it's the right mic. It's the right mic. Okay, it's too loud and it's distorting.
Oh, is it too loud? No, I can lower it here.
Yeah, I think you should lower it. I don't know. Like it doesn't sound as sexy as it used to be. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, that's better.
Okay. So
say something. Say a full sentence. Say a full sentence. Say a full sentence. How was your day? What did you do today?
This is a full sentence. I am using a full sentence to say a full sentence.
Okay, that's good.
Is that good?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Maybe turn it up slightly more. Maybe slightly more. Turn up just a tiny bit. I don't want my voice to dominate. Yeah, that's better.
Okay, good.
Okay. All right. I wanted to talk about something. Oh, by the way, before we go there, I want to highlight. Thank you, Waleed, for telling us. Is Ayama Rajal? That's what's called Ayama. It never rolls off my tongue. Ayama Rajal. Ayama is the four Ayamas. The Hanbali, Shafi, Imam Malik, Imam, whatever those four are. Shafi, Hanbali. I always forget one of them. Shafi, Hanbali, Maliki.
Hanbali, Maliki,
Hanafi, Abu Hanifa, Imam Abu Hanifa. Yeah, that's it.
The crazy one, the special one.
The special one, yeah. They are the. It's so bizarre that they.
The back of the bus one.
Yeah. All right, Vigilant Guy, thank you very much for your super sticker and your super chat. So, what do you guys think about the Balochistan issue? We've spoken about this a few times.
On which side? On which border? On which side of the border? On the Iran side of the border or on the Pakistan side of the border?
Actually, I've never heard your opinion on it. So for 40 rupees, give us a monologue. What is the Balochistan issue from the Iranian perspective, or how much of Balochistan falls under Iran? I actually want to know. I know absolutely nothing about the Iranian claim on that.
Okay, so I could speak about this for hours, but let me just say...
Give me just 5 minutes or 3 minutes.
So before the Mahsa Amini revolution that has started, the Sistan Balochistan is a province in Iran that has been a major part of source of examples for how unjust the government is, because it's the poorest province in Iran, and the living conditions there are terrible. It's also a lot of people associate the government's lack of care with for that province, with the fact that it's a Sunni province. So they see it as an anti-Sunni discrimination by the central government for that province.
Is it rich in resources, though?
It's supposed to have a lot of gold.
Okay.
But
they haven't extracted.
I don't know. They haven't extracted it. Yes, right. So people say these are the poorest. It's basically the poorest people in the country are sitting on top of mountains of gold. But even if they're extracted, but even if they get extracted, they're not going to see any of it. It's going to be similar to people in Khuzestan province, which are Arab, a part of Iran, and like a lot. Okay, and they are also sitting on the richest resources of the country, which is oil, and they be and water, and they're one of the poorest provinces as well, right? So it all goes to the centralized government, right? So the people in Sistan Balochistan in Iran, another thing that constantly gets highlighted is the children there. A lot of the lack of education, the horrible schools that you go and they don't even have roof on top of their head sometimes, right? And also lack of documents, lack of IDs. There are kids there, many kids there that don't even have a document that shows they're Iranian, and for a lot of the benefits that they're supposed to be getting, they need to show. So they are stateless. There are many stateless kids in Iran that are born in Iran, but because of lack of documentation, they can't prove that they're Iranian. So there is a huge anti-government movement in Sistan Balochistan, and there are also some separatists there that want Balochistan to secede from Iran, but mostly that's not the case. But the fact that some separatists are in Sistan Balochistan, the government, the government, the Islamic Republic, uses that as an excuse to go hard and to oppress the people in Sistan Balochistan, with the excuse that these are separatist movements. So ever since Mahsa Amini, the Mahsa Amini revolution that started in Iran, the Sistan Balochistan province has been one of the most active ones. In fact, they're the two main provinces that have been active against the regime have been Kurdistan and Sistan Balochistan, and I believe that Sistan Balochistan has had the highest number of victims. The number of people who they kill in the government, central government kills in Sistan Balochistan, is higher than anywhere else, partly because they're poor and there's less reaction to them, partly because they're Sunni, partly because they're a border province, so they're more hostile towards them. I think the second highest would be Kurdistan, but I don't know which one is higher, but I think Sistan Balochistan is higher. Like, for example, during the early days of the revolution, they were just gunning down people. Like masses of people. It was horrible. Also, the Friday prayers in Zahedan, which is a city there, the main city in Sistan Balochistan, is constantly used as an anti-regime rallying area. So there's a major difference between the anti-government movement in Sistan Balochistan compared with the rest of the country. So if you see the anti-government, anti-Islamic Republic protests and political activity within the rest of the country, you get a sense of secular liberal tone to it, and many times even outright anti-Islamic, right? You don't get that in Sistan Balochistan. In Sistan Balochistan, they're very much anti-government, but they're also very Islamic, just not the Islam of the government.
Okay,
they're very Sunni.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, without going into too much detail, so is there a dynamic separatist movement in Iran's Balochistan? Because I just pulled up this map of Balochistan. So that much of that actually falls in Iran. A tiny portion of that falls in Afghanistan, and then obviously majority of it is in Pakistan. So as you said, Sistani and Balochistan, so that's a pretty big chunk, and it's mostly arid, mostly it's mostly desert, but it is rich in resources. So in Pakistan, since 1948, since its inception, which the people of Balochistan claim that they were forced into annexing Balochistan into Pakistan in 1948 on Jinnah's order, the founder of Pakistan's orders, and there have been at least 3 major uprisings since Pakistan was created. And the grievances are, on the Pakistani side, they're very similar. They say, well, it is a resource-rich country, but also, just like in Iran, Pakistan hasn't really exploited these resources yet. There have been some cases, like Rikodik was a project which is, it is rich in gold, and we have been taking natural gas from the place called Sui, which is called Sui gas. So Pakistan was the rest of Pakistan has been enjoying this free natural gas, very cheap natural gas ever since Pakistan came into existence. So they say the separatist movement in Pakistan, from time to time they blow up the gas pipeline. They say, well, we're not going to let you take our resources, especially when we don't get to see any benefits, any economic benefits of your exploitation of our natural resources. So it's a very tribal society. It's very cultural, very traditional. dare I say, in my view, I mean, I'm not a fan of these local cultures or anything. I mean, I can understand. I obviously speak for their human rights, but I don't I don't necessarily have any sympathy for people who want to separate themselves, look at themselves as separately. We're different. We're better than you. We have our own culture. I'm not. I'm a globalist. I believe in global identity. I don't believe in this. But anyway, but that doesn't mean that their human rights should be um, uh, abused. And their demands should be met. There are so many forced disappearances of Baloch activists. I remember we all got scared back in 2020, 21 when two Balochi activists were killed, one in Sweden called Shahzad Baloch, and the other one, Karima Baloch, in Canada. Both of them died by drowning. Their bodies were found in a local river creek or something, and they were not suicidal apparently, but they were both separatist activists. And everyone says that ISI got them. Again, conspiracy theory hasn't been proven. We don't know. But there are thousands of cases of forced disappearances within Pakistan of Baloch activists. So that's a brief overview of Balochistan from Pakistan side. And I recently made a video on India-Pakistan rivalry, and I touched base on that a little bit. India has been accused by Pakistan of fueling this separatist movement and arming these Baloch BLA, Baloch Liberation Army, these groups of the insurgents. I think they're recognized as insurgents by the UN. But that's besides the point. So in Iran, sorry, to answer very quickly in 2 minutes. In Iran, what do people of Balochistan want in Iran? Are they a separatist as well? Do they also do they have a bigger goal of that? Okay, Balochistan from Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Iran, they should join up as a single one big country.
A minority of them seem to be saying that, but the ones that don't constantly try to insist that that's not what the rest of us is saying, right? So Baluchis, right now with this revolution, the Baluchis who are joining this revolution, they're trying to convince the other Iranians that we are with you. We are not trying to secede from you. That's the government's accusation that we are cessationists. There are not that many of us that are cessationists. We are in this together, and we want to help save Iran and against this regime. That's what they're saying. And the main guy who's been saying this is this guy. So let me this is the main guy that you need to know of. This is one of the greatest enemy of Ali Khamenei. And he's in Iran, and he's been every Friday prayer, he has speeches directly against the regime. And he's so big that they haven't come and got him, right? Khamenei has had... Yes, he's in Sistan Balochistan. Yeah. So Khamenei, we have leaked the information document that Khamenei has direct instructions to not arrest him, but instead shame him, like destroy his reputation. Khamenei wants his reputation to be destroyed, but it's not working. But he is, for some people in Sistan Balochistan, this guy is like a prophet. Like if he says like do this, they will go. So he's too powerful for Khamenei to touch right now, right? And the things he has been saying against Khamenei on every Friday prayer, other people, if they have said that, they would have been like eliminated by now. So let me just read this. Iran's top Sunni cleric says Islamic Republic's leadership should step down. So here's Iran's most prominent Sunni cleric has called for the resignation of the country's Shia leadership as hundreds of anti-government protesters returned to the streets of the southeastern city of Zahedan after Friday prayers, despite a heavy presence of security forces. The sermons of Zahedan's Sunni Friday prayer leader, Molavi Abdul Hamid, that's his name, remember that name, Molavi Abdul Hamid, was not broadcast live on his Instagram account as previous weeks due to internet disruptions. His broadcasts are becoming so popular, even like atheists, secularists are like tuning in to watching it. And now they're so worried about his influence that they try to disrupt the internet when he's speaking, right? Internet monitor NetBlocks confirmed that real-time network data show a significant disruption to internet connectivity in Zahedan. Rather than imprisoning or arresting people, you should. This is what Molavi is saying. Rather than imprisoning or arresting people, you should allow them to express their views and listen to them. If you cannot solve their problem, let others solve people's problem. Molavi said. I'm not going to read the rest of it. Hold on, let me see. I just want to mention that this guy has caused a major disagreement among atheist Iranians as well, right? Because a lot of atheist Iranians are saying, okay, this guy is anti-regime, so that's great. We should use any help we get. But a lot of other atheists are saying that, dude, this guy is like more religious than Khamenei himself. What are we doing? Do we not learn from trusting Khomeini? So now there's a lot of infighting between atheists on whether this guy is on our side or not on our side. Should we trust him? Should we not trust him? So that's
how big. Okay, how big is this atheist community that is actually fueling this revolution? And like, are we talking about like? Because you told me that a lot of these, a lot of different groups from all different walks of life with all different sets of beliefs, they have joined their forces against the Khamenei government, against the Islamic regime, and they're saying, okay, well, let's just overthrow them. Are atheists and secularists a big chunk of that, or they're just like one of the 10 groups?
No. They're a major chunk. And this is one of the things I say on our show, that we should not let people know that. We should not let people deny that, because they are constantly... a lot of people try to dismiss we have atheists and anti-theists very active and a big chunk of this revolution, but what we're trying to be replaced by is polite secularists, right? People who are not necessarily they try to... a lot of mainstream media tries to not really emphasize about how big of a deal atheists are. I mean, and they try to say that this revolution doesn't have much of an anti-Islamic element to it. It's more of a secular element rather than anti-Islamic, which is insane, because we have seen what people chant in the streets. The main symbol of this revolution has been the burning of the hijab. We see how for example, the mother of Kian Pir Falak, the kid that the regime murdered, the mother, when she came out in the funeral, and she said, my son hated the Quran, you could see the entire crowd cheers. It was unbelievable. I've never seen so many people cheer somebody saying my son hated the Quran. So the anti-religion, anti-Islam, atheist, not just secular element within this revolution is very, very big. But we shouldn't deny that there's also other people. Like, we have very religious Sunni people that are also a major part of this revolution. I mean, these Sunnis, they have paid the highest price for this revolution. No community has given more victims, more number of people, more bodies than Sistan Balochistan province, right?
But that doesn't
and also
mean,
one thing,
but that doesn't mean that we can, let go of Iran for the next 50 years as well. I get it. But they're motivated. But they're motivated by their religious doctrine, and we're not going to swap one devil with another.
Yeah, but so they are saying that what Maulavi Abdulhamid says is that religion shouldn't be in power, right? So he's saying that he is for not having religion control. Okay, so he, for example, came out. He's the first politician. I can't believe. Okay, this guy came out and openly said, the first mullah in Iran that said that we need to have laik people, as he said it, in government.
What people?
Like the way, so laicite, that's the Persian version.
Oh,
like
laicite,
secular laicite. Right. So he means like non-religious people should be in government.
See that.
Right?
But I mean, you see that. Yeah, it's like it's incumbency factor. People are so sick of the status quo that they say, okay, anything but that, and they say, okay, we're religious leaders, don't even give us the same kind of power. But we know, this is your argument, that why Islam can never be reformed is we know that Islam always finds a way to creep in into every walk of your life, whether that's from government to your
Yeah, but this guy is not Islam. This guy is somebody who happens to be Muslim, right? So I
No, the
agree.
Muslim
So first
leaders
of all,
are.
I know. Okay, but I'm a secularist. So I don't want Islam in the government, but I want Muslims in the government. Do you know what I mean? There's a difference. So as a secularist, I do believe that the voices of every citizen should be heard, and every citizen should be able to have an influence in their politics. You can't use your religion to manipulate politics, but you as a Muslim person should have a voice in politics. Everyone should.
Of course, but
Yeah.
let's just say, okay, so one good thing about this whole thing, let's take him off because I want to go full screen.
Okay.
So one good thing about this is that, okay, people from all walks of life are saying, you showed me that chart where I think there were only like 15% of the Iranians who were in favor of the status quo of the Islamic regime, something like that. You
Oh
showed
yeah.
me that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's say 20. Let's say
Okay.
20%.
Okay. So let's just say, so the other 80% who, and that number,
60.
that
Yeah.
number,
It
that
was
number,
lowering.
that number was lowering. Yes. So it means that more and more people are going against the status quo of Islamic regime, right? So people from all walks of life are coming in. Sunnis are coming in. Secularists are coming in. People who don't really care about that, but they just don't want to be a part of the Islamic regime. Everyone's coming in. So let's just say if there is, if this regime is overthrown, then yes, it is very important that people from all segments of the society, they come in and they sit down, because obviously as founding fathers of the modern Iran, and they sit down, okay, and then they decide on, okay, well, it needs to be a secular constitution, because in my experience, as much as I've read history, if you look into the American history, you look at the French Revolution, and also if I look at India and Pakistan's history, I look at whoever the founding father or fathers is or are, whatever they do, whatever they write down, and whatever direction they set their nation into, it is very difficult for later leaders to change its direction. So, for example, Pakistani founders said, okay, this is modern Islamic Republic, yeah, Islamic Welfare Society, which was a misnomer. Nobody knows what that is. And that's why Pakistan is still confused. On the other hand, you look at India, the founding fathers of India, Nehru, Gandhi, they were very firm on the secular nature of India. And look, despite of Modiism and despite of this radical Hindu movement, as damaging as it might be, as antagonizing as it is to the doctrine of Gandhi or Nehru, that is still almost impossible to change the constitution of India. I would be shocked. I think they would need a mini revolution to turn India into a Hindu Rashtra, I mean, Hindu republic, and change it from the secular Republic of India. So I think so. Yeah. So I agree with you. I think it's important that people from all walks of life, Muslims included, Shias included, Sunnis included, secularists included, atheists included, everyone included, and when they sit down and whatever constitution they write up, I think that's going to be important, because you don't want only atheists either, because who knows? And too much absolute power corrupts. Absolutely. I think we should wrap it up at this. I think we've spoken 40.
Yeah, I just want to emphasize that for people to understand that secularism doesn't mean that we exclude religious people from government. It just means we exclude religion from government. I just want people to know that. We got a couple of super chats.
Yes.
So
thank you very much, vigilant guy, for your super chats. So we've got a couple of new super chats come in. Div has also asked a question, so I'll come back to that. I think Nomad has become your member. Armin.
Thank you,
congratulations.
Thank you.
And I received a very cute message from Himachali Bhau. Himachal is a state in India, Himachal Pradesh. And he's saying, Harish Bhai, Bhai means brother, you're a good man, live long and happy life. Oh, that's so cute. Thank you very much. I love it when I get messages of love from my fellow Indians, because these days I get more hate than love. Anyway, that's fine. Okay, so Divya, no, I think it's Div. I don't know if that's I've never seen that name. I don't know if it's a male name or a female name, but I'll just assume it's a male name, because Divya is definitely a female name. So Div Vashishis is saying that when will apostasy be 70% in Indian Muslims? I'm an ex-Hindu, by the way. You don't have to tell us, but that's fine. 70%. I don't know. That's very difficult to say. So the Pew survey that we had, surprisingly, actually, Armin, can you comment on that and we'll just say something, keep the audience engaged. So I'll bring up that Indian survey.
I don't know when it will happen. 70%? That's like not in our lifetime. I mean, I'm curious to know why exactly you're asking for 70%. Why is that number so significant for you? Why not 60%? Why not 80%? But I don't know. I think this is not something that is easily predictable. But I do think that India's Muslim have a higher chance, are going to get to this number sooner than many other countries. I think living in a country where we have multiple religions and you're exposed to different, and you also have a very strong rationalist atheist movement in India. So I don't know exactly. Okay, so here's my optimistic take. It will take less than 100 years. Less than 100 years will we get there. My optimistic take.
I'd be more optimistic than that, because I always believe any major change is only 1 or 2 generations away. And in generation, we talk about 20 years. Every 20 years, that generation becomes a parent and then give rise to a new generation. So this is a very interesting Pew survey. I love this Pew survey. It demolished a lot of my, I wouldn't say biases, but it demolished a lot of my existing views about Muslims in India, and they earned a whole level of respect from me. Let me ask you, actually, Armin, what do you think? What would be the percentage of Indian Muslims that do not, I know it's a misnomer, but let's just go by that do not believe in God?
10%, 5%.
Okay. And what do you think would be a percentage of Hindus who don't believe in God?
15%.
See, this is why it destroyed me. But anyway, you're right. So Muslims better than Hindus. So here it is. Look at this. And this was a big survey. I think 155,000 people were surveyed in that. That took about 2 years. This is a wonderful survey. It's got like 12 pages. So here it is. So 1/3 of Indian Buddhists do not believe. So obviously Buddhists are the biggest non-God believers. Muslims, 6% of Muslims who were surveyed do not believe in God. So they're actually ex-Muslims, okay? With less certainty, 12% do not believe in God with less certainty. So that's, these agnostics can't exhaust. They're like, yeah, well, screw this. I don't know. My life is too. Hindus, only 2% Hindus.
Oh, really? What the F?
Yes. only 2% of Hindus don't believe in God. So Hindus are far more traditional than a lot of these guys we see. Obviously, we have a different little niche. So we only
completely I thought Hindus would be a lot higher.
That's what I thought. I would have thought that 10% because when I was doing research for my book, I know obviously this survey came a lot later. I had thought that, okay, because Hindus are so chilled with their religion, I knew that they were traditionalists and they did care about the culture and everything. But I thought that since they are so easygoing, they probably would not care much about God. So I looked up. Before this, there was Gallup does a study every 7 years or something, or 6 years or something. So there was a Gallup study of 2018, and India only had 2% atheists in that study, 2 or 3%. I can't remember exactly. I was like, what? So I get it. Even 2% of India is huge because you're dealing with over 1 billion people. That's probably more than the population of Australia and New Zealand combined. But still, it's that number is very disappointing. That only 2% of Hindus don't believe in God. Whereas, so if you spread it out evenly across all people from all religions and all backgrounds, that makes it 3%. Okay. Well, there it is. 3% of Indians don't believe in God. So we've got 3% atheists, which is a very small number, given that India has enjoyed secularism and religious plurality. Yes, religious Okay, I'm not going to try it again. You get it. For such a long period of time, but we've only gotten 3%.
That is so strange. So Iran is like, I think, above 20% on this.
Yeah.
India is like 3%. That's crazy.
Yeah, India's great.
Okay, so we need to on the Muslim community in India, we need to like target them. So there's a lot more hope into getting the Muslim community out of religion. By the way, Katie is pointing out that, okay, because a lot of people are saying, like, why are you calling them Muslims if they don't believe in God? I mean, first of all, it's self-ID, belonging to community, and also what Katie is saying in the live chat. Muslims who don't believe in God are just atheists. It's just that India doesn't recognize atheists. Yeah.
Also, another major point is that in India, because Muslims are minorities and they feel, okay, I'm just steelmanning their position, they feel, I know a lot of ex-Muslims or atheists from India who just say, well, I identify myself as a Muslim because I don't believe in God or anything, but because they feel like they're being attacked by these radical Hindus. So that's why. And also in this context, though, they grouped people into their religions. So if I was, let's say if Pew had approached me and I was an Indian citizen, they would have also asked me like, okay, well, what are you? What are you? Muslim? Okay, would you belong to Muslim community in India? I would have said, yeah, Muslim, but do you believe in God? No, I don't believe in God anymore. So yes, I have become an atheist, but they didn't include atheists separately because that would have made the whole study redundant, because this study was all about religion in India. Okay, hope that answers the question.
Yeah. Okay.
No, actually, okay. To answer, we did everything but answer the question. So he said, okay, because 70% apostasy has caused revolution in Iran. Okay, good. So when it comes to 70%, so it is 6 right now. So we get to 70. I don't know. I would say don't lose hope, because any major change is a generation away, and then 2 generations, boom. 20 years ago, when I came to Australia, when I went to uni, homosexuality, being gay was used a slur. Could not have imagined being atheist, whatever. Look at the world around you. It's absolutely shocking. It's so different. Forget about bringing people from 100 years ago. I said bring people from 30 years ago and put them in 2023, and they would be like, what the hell? Where am I? So this is something that even Steven Spielberg and Back to the Future could not have predicted. So yeah. So
okay, so I got a major super chat. Thank you so much.
Why didn't I get it? Thank you, Elif.
Thank you, Elif, for the $10 super chat.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Saying hello. In the last episode, Armin mentioned the importance of constitutions for the liberal democracy, but in what circumstances can or should the articles of a constitution be repealed or amended? That's a very good question. One circumstances. Well, I mean, the thing is that as I know we said that the Constitution should be independent from the majority of the opinion, but in practice, it never works like that. In practice, society evolves, and how do you say that in Persian, in English? The wisdom of the crowd, the wisdom of society increases to the point where the Constitution has to start adapting to new information and new wisdom and new understanding of what makes a society work, right? So as much as we like to act like the Constitution is independent from the rule of the majority, at some point we get to a point where the majority realizes that their rights that have been protected by the constitutions are not enough, right? Because of for example, trans rights, right? So a constitution might understand at the point that it's being written that women's rights are important, but given that the wisdom of the crowd of the society was not to the point to understand that there's such a thing as gay rights or trans rights that is important. You're muted. Oh, okay. That is important. They would have to. They decided to. And when the society passes, so here's the thing: we can't act like the Constitution is something that is so beyond wise beyond a society's wisdom, that because we say the majority sometimes get things wrong, we need to protect the rights of individuals and minorities to have it in a constitution so that the majority cannot oppress the minority and take individual rights away. But we can't pretend, like in the US, for example, some people pretend that the Constitution is this divine intervention, this divine writing that has gotten everything so perfectly that we don't need to mess with it. at the end of the day, every constitution is the product of the people and the time that it was written in. It's not this thing that is so divorced from the ignorance of society that we could just always rely to it. And society at some point is going to be better than whatever constitution at the time that whatever constitution it came up with. So I think at the point where it becomes so popular and so scientifically obvious that certain rules need to be protected by society, we need to have the will of the people force the Supreme Court to add this to the Constitution. So as much as we have the separations of power, so we have the judiciary and the legislative and the executive, and we want these separations of power, as Montesquieu suggested, for these powers to be separated. We don't want it so separated that it becomes completely undemocratic. So you can see, for example, in the US, you have some separation between the judiciary and the legislative and the executive, but at the same time there is a small little bridge, because the judges are picked by the president and the president is elected by the people. So and the judiciary decides how to interpret the Constitution, and also there are ways for amendment. So you make it difficult. So I think the way that you try to come up with it is for the public, for the masses, to be able to change the Constitution and to be able to have an influence on how the Constitution is interpreted. But you make it hard. You make it difficult enough so that the people have to be very determined. It has to be very popular, and there has to be a lot of scientific understanding and to the point that is obvious for it to change. So you want the Constitution to be able to change, but you make it difficult, so only in cases where it's very, very important and very obvious and very clear for you to be able to change the Constitution. And that's the reason why you make it difficult to change the Constitution. Not impossible, but difficult to change the Constitution. Does that answer the question? I don't know if
I'll just add my little. You explained it perfectly well, and I'll just add another keyword. It's called representative democracy. So it is also considered as indirect democracy. So basically, majority of people are not making every single decision. We put our trust in our favorite people, and they make decisions on behalf of us. Referendums are the ones or referenda, actually, is the plural of referenda. Referendas are actually, added S at the end. Again, referenda is what you call direct democracy, because, for example, and in that case, you're more likely to get stupid decisions. So when we say, okay, we're going to get President Kennedy, we're going to elect President Kennedy. Americans of the time were very racist at that time, but they still chose President Kennedy, okay? And then we go, and representative democracy is a bit more visible in countries like, which is called Westminster type of democracy, British democracy. And you have that in Australia, India, Pakistan, New Zealand, a lot of these countries, countries that don't have presidential system. So we elect these people and we say, okay, you're going to go and make decisions on our behalf. And that's why, but those people are experts in that. And this is why you look at it, most of these people are actually lawyers for some reason. I don't know why, but that's always the case. I think every political hierarchy you look at, most politicians are lawyers. And because they're in the thick of it, they understand and they look into these issues. For example, this trans issue, you have no basis to discriminate transgender people. You have absolutely no basis. Even though we know that in popular culture, everyone wants to walk up to a transgender and say, hey, you're not a female, you're a man. It's like, it's irrelevant. Why do you want to do it? But our lawmakers, unless they're far-right Republicans, or even in other countries as well, they cannot win this argument because breaching other people's human rights. But that doesn't mean that, you should have, you should allow transgender females, transgender women into women prison or into women only gyms and all that. I get it. So those are other nuances that need to be separated, that need to be addressed separately. So we put our trust in our representatives, and they're in better position. And that's when they're cornered, they debate that in the parliament. And that's where constitutions are amended in light of better arguments, better information, etc. And for some odd reason, for the last 250, 300 years or so, that's been working. Yes, we've had a few little ups and downs, like Trump getting elected, like these populist people who could reach out to the masses. They could suddenly, shake the status quo. But it hasn't really happened before, or might not happen again for the foreseeable future. You might see little snippets of it here and there.
You're getting a lot of super chats, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay. So just before we get to super chats, say Mojo saying Armin Navabi and Har Sultan, you received love from me as well. Huh?
Well, thank you, Mojo. I get a lot of thank you.
We're getting okay. Here's another super chat. What do you guys think about Shiva and
Parvati?
Parvati.
Yeah. I don't know. Armin has done a whole series of cartoons on Hindu gods and goddesses. I don't know.
Shiva, was Parvati the one that turned into a vagina to cover Shiva's penis from burning the whole world?
I think so. Yeah. I think it was Shiva. Yeah. It was Parvati. It was Shiva's dick.
No, I know it was Shiva. I know it was Shiva's dick, but who's?
I think it was Parvati. Yeah, you're right. No, yeah, you're right on the money. Yeah, Parvati.
Okay. So I think more people need to know about Shiva Lingam and the story behind it.
Yoni,
right?
Parvati Yoni.
Shiva.
Oh my God! Don't Google image it. Not NSFW. Oh my God! I just put Parvati Bajeje.
No, this is okay. I can share this.
Okay, yeah, that's good. So yeah, you explain what that is. Shiva Lingam.
Okay, so guys, correct me if this is what Shiva Lingam is, and a lot of Hindus don't know this. A lot of Hindus pray to this.
They say we know, and they deny it very viciously. They deny that claim that this is lingam does not mean penis.
No, well, the ones on the internet deny this, but the scripture of Hindu scripture says that this is Shiva's penis. Also, but most Hindus don't even know this. When I tell most Hindus, they're like shocked, their minds explode, right? Because you're supposed to like rub this and pour milk on it and all that stuff, and they don't know this is basically, look, they have a Shiva's picture right next to it. That's because that's his dick. That's his dick. Like so and this not only that this is Shiva's dick,
play the next
this
part.
bottom part, this bottom part is Parvati's clitoris or vagina. Like it looks like a. So the story is that Shiva one day showed up to a whole bunch of what do you call it, monks in Hindu, what is that called? I forgot.
Pandits, not pundits.
No, not pundits. Like gurus, no, not gurus. Something else. Tell me in the live chat. So these like really powerful things in Hinduism, they're more powerful than sages. Yes, sages. Sages can be more powerful than gods, by the way, based on some Hindu beliefs, right? So Shiva shows up to their wives, and he just exposes himself, and he just shows them
flashes.
His dick. Yeah, flashes his dick, and
well,
some of them are. And some of these women
did it today.
Yeah. So wait, let me see. Katie is confirming that it was Parvati, right? So some of these women, they're impressed. Some of them are shocked. Some of them are faint. But it's pretty impressing, and a lot of them some of them run in fear. Okay, but the sages themselves are not very impressed. So what do? They come, and they're so powerful, they curse Shiva. They curse his dick. They specifically curse his dick. And what happens? Shiva's dick falls. It falls off. Okay, but these sages, they didn't know that this is Shiva. So when Shiva's dick falls off, it just starts burning. And it starts burning, and it's burning everything. And it's almost burning the entire world. And this stick is so powerful that nobody can contain it. None of these sages, nobody can contain it. So what does Parvati do? There's two narratives on what happens next. So Parvati shows up. Either she just puts the dick in her vagina, or she just turns into a vagina. We don't know which one of these is true. So she turns into a vagina and just covers the dick, and that's how she contains this fire, and she saves the world from being engulfed in this fire, or she just puts it in her vagina, and that's how she contains it, right?
That's one way to put out the fire.
Yeah. And that's the story behind Shiva Lingam. This is in glory of that momentous day where the whole world was saved. You could see Shiva's dick just being contained by Parvati's vagina.
And there was Armin in the background saying, "Pussy power."
It's a beautiful story. I mean, it's a beautiful story. I don't know, like, you guys don't have to be ashamed of it. I'm not like, it's cool. You guys, I think the only reason why Hindus consider this to be embarrassing is because you've been Islamized, you've been Muslimed, okay? Because you've been Muslimified. You keep telling us that stop thinking about things in our Abrahamic mindset, but somebody should be telling you were not this ashamed about sexual stuff before. You used to be okay with it. You guys came up with Kama Sutra, for crying out loud. You were not. This is the culture that produced Kama Sutra. But not the only reason this is not insulting. This is just a pretty cool myth. It's a pretty cool story, legend, right?
Have you seen some of the sexual temples? We can't even show them on YouTube. They're like,
no, we can't show them.
We can't, but they've got sculptures of like these different poses of sex. It's like, woo, this is way too heavy. You know when they discovered the ruins of Pompeii, they found all these Luid kind of statues, and this is probably one of the reasons when you go to Italy and you go to this Italian museum, you see these naked sculptures of men from ancient Roman era, and they have broken off their penises because the Christians, the whole Catholic Holy Roman Empire was like, whoa, this is too much. No, by the time the next time those statues saw the light of day, the European continent had turned into a Christian continent. So that's why all the sexiness was gone. All the sex was gone. All the sex positiveness of those societies was gone. And that's exactly what Hindus have done to their Hindu culture. They should be going around. They'd be like, no, let's chill. And I've seen a lot of sadhus walk around naked in some streets, and they call them malangs and crazy people. But I guess, anyway, so the modern society is built on different principles. And you tell the Abrahamic faith, we want more Hinduization of the world in that respect only. But anyway, it's just a story. But I think a lot of people should get embarrassed because when they realize that we are making fun of it because we're not taking it literally. There was no dick of fire that had to be put out by inserting it in a huge goddess's vagina. There was no such thing.
Would be cool, though. That would be cool.
That would be ancient porno.
It's a pretty good myth, though. To be fair, like it's pretty epic. Like a dick that is putting the whole world on fire.
But dicks are supposed to be a dick that big is supposed to be used as a giant hose to put out a fire.
No, but like it's demonstrating how impressive Shiva is. His dick is like he is so powerful that his mere dick could destroy the whole world. That's a pretty interesting way of describing how powerful the guy is.
Death by fire. Wow.
Death by dick. Right. But next time you think that we're insulting you by showing how sexy your religion is, you just remember that you're insulting yourself. Your minds have been colonized by Muslims and the British. Okay, so when next time you see something sexy about your goddesses and you want to pull your hair out, just remember that's your Abrahamic mindset speaking. Okay, so don't tell us that we're judging your religion with our Abrahamic mindset. You yourself have become Abrahamized. So look in the mirror next time you accuse somebody of that.
But that penis could be used to dig oil wells. That was hilarious. All right, next one.
Okay, so we answered this one. We answered this one.
Div is saying, I'm a male. Thank you very much for correcting me. Thank you, Div. Vigilant guy saying, how can we transform Pashtun society via atheism? I don't know. Pashtun society, there's what I've heard, there's a huge, like PTM, Pakistan Tahafuz movement, meaning Pakistan's protection movement, which is run by a lot of Pashtuns, a dissenting group of Pashtuns, which is very popular and gets totally blacklisted by Pakistani media. And Armin, you'll be surprised to know, I was actually contacted by one of the leading names in that movement, and they've got like literally hundreds of thousands of followers, not on social media. You wouldn't see, yeah, well, they do, but I don't follow them because I don't understand what they exactly want and what I can do. But anyway, so I was sent a couple of messages by those people that, well, we are all atheists, and the whole movement is built around secularism and to overthrow or to challenge, not overthrow, but to challenge the status quo of Pakistan, where military establishment and the current constitution, etc. So it's kind of like a borderline rebellious movement. So maybe that's why I just stay away from that kind of crap. But that's what I think he's alluding to. How can we transform Pashtun society via atheism? So I've been told, although I'm not involved in that, I've been told that a lot of these Pashtuns are atheists, especially, and that was a shock to me, especially when you realize Taliban are Pashtuns. Some of the most conservative parts of Pakistan are Pashtun, like Peshawar, which is often a victim of these activities, the terrorist activities. So I was shocked. I was taken aback. So I'm just sitting back and I'm just looking at it, how that goes about. But of course, those guys have their political agendas as well, and I don't have any political agenda. So I just talk about atheism itself, through like just in as a part of a wider discourse. So yeah, I don't know. To be honest, I can't answer the question because I don't know how that's going to go. But you, unless you want to say something.
Well, I mean, I know there are a lot of atheist activists in Afghanistan currently active online. So, and a lot of them come to our rooms on Clubhouse. So, because we have a lot of shows in Pashtuns mostly speak Persian, right? Is that correct? Most Pashtuns.
No, they speak Pashtun.
Yeah.
Pashtun.
But
Pashtun.
Well,
Pashtun.
Wait. So which part of? Oh yeah, sorry. But a lot of them do also speak Persian because of Afghanistan. Like I know their main language is Pashto, but they also because they're in Afghanistan. Are more Pashtuns in Afghanistan?
Yes. And
okay. So Afghanistan speaks Persian. Yeah. So they're familiar with Persian.
No, I don't think majority of Afghans speak.
At least half of Afghanistan speak.
Must be one bordering near Iran. But well, Pashtuns also speak Urdu, which is Pakistan's national language. But I don't know. Yeah, I think they do.
Yeah. Okay, so Dari Persian is spoken by 78% of Afghanistan. So that's a lot. So even if you speak Pashtun, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with Persian. So there's not much atheist content in Pashtun, okay? But there's a lot because of Iran. So this is what so you're saying, how can we transform Pashtun society via atheism, right? Using Iran, because a lot of Afghanistan's people who are active online, they come in, based on what I've seen, to Iranian social media and content, okay? So you could see a lot of like on Iranian YouTube channels that are anti-religion. You could see them in the comment section. You could see themselves becoming active on YouTube, on Clubhouse, on Twitter. So because Iran has such a rich atheist movement, even if Afghanistan has that itself, but even if it didn't, it's becoming a lot, very much influenced by, because when an Afghani person comes online and goes to Persian-speaking social media, all of a sudden is getting hit with a heavy dose of atheism just because they speak Persian as well. So the more of Afghanistan comes online, because of their proximity of their language with Iran, they're going to be heavily influenced by a lot of atheist talk. So that's one of the benefits of having a shared language with your neighbor. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, but I don't know which way it's going to go because Pashtuns scare me. I mean, no, sorry, obviously, hashtag not all Pashtuns. I'm not talking about that. Obviously, I was reduced to tears by when these Taliban came to power in 2021. I was in London. I received this letter Well, actually, not I didn't receive the letter. I think Zara received the letter. I don't know. Someone received the letter, and then this girl who was an atheist, and she wrote that letter. We don't know what happened to her, and she said that the Taliban are closing in on her town, and she's scared. And in case she dies, she wanted to write a final letter saying that, we exist in Afghanistan who are atheists. We don't believe in this, and we don't want these people. So this whole establishment, this Pashtun establishment, this Taliban, that whole thing scares me, because in Punjab, Pakistan, yes, atheists can't roam freely, but I don't feel threatened. I don't feel scared for my life when I push these people, when I push Pakistan or Pakistanis. So I don't. But this one is a whole different ball game. It's kind of like Chechens. You don't want to mess with Chechens.
I mean, I don't want to judge people based on their ethnicity, though.
You're right, but that comes from ignorance as well, because I don't speak Pashto language. I don't speak Chechen language, so I don't know. So I'm like out of it. But with this whole I can't give. I'm sorry, Vigilant Guy. I can't give you an honest answer or an informed answer, at least.
Okay, so we have Divya here, but I want to finish that answer. Is that so? People must understand when I said most Afghanis speak Persian. That's different between saying that what their native language is. So if you're Pashtun, your native language is not Persian, but that doesn't mean that you don't speak Persian, right? So if you ask how many Afghanis speak Persian, that would be the majority of Afghanis speak Persian. But how many Afghanis, their native language is Persian, that would be 25%. So if you say how many speak Persian, that would be like 78%. How many of them, their native language is Persian, that would be 25%, right? So, I mean, that is a huge opportunity. I think that's the reason why you might not see Afghanistan's Persian-speaking community still being secular and atheist, even though online Persian community is like filled with atheist content, is because most of Afghanistan is not online yet. So you want this to happen, just get them online. Just get them online. So the more internet connectivity you will eventually have in Afghanistan, I think I'm optimistic that was going to have a major influence on the Pashtun society. It's going to completely, like I say you would be surprised on how fast of a shift you're going to see. Mark my words.
Okay. All right. Let's just take Divya. Can we take her? And then obviously we got to...
Him. He did a super chat to say some...
No. That was Div. That was someone else. This is Divya.
Divya. Okay.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi,
Divya.
Hi. Hi. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So actually, I just heard Harris talking about the Indian Constitution being secular. I mean, Nehru and Gandhi making Indian Constitution secular. So I know it was
Ambedkar. I know it was Ambedkar. I know that Baba Ambedkar, but I was simply saying, okay.
No, okay, all right, it's Ambedkar. But my point is, the original constitution that was framed by Baba Ambedkar wasn't actually secular. It didn't anywhere say that India is a secular country. The word secular was added in 1976 by Indira Gandhi in the constitution. That too by enforcing emergency on the entire country and by a majority in the parliament without any opposition. So
without any opposition? That is
without
crazy.
any opposition in the parliament, because that time she has just jailed many leaders from the opposition. Can you just check that info?
Yeah, of course. This is new. This is new to me. I know that the central claim or the central difference between India and Pakistan was that Nehru and the founding fathers of India was saying that India is going to be a secular country. Now, obviously, this is a technical detail which I wasn't aware of, that the word secular was added in the 70s.
Yeah, but that was actually a post by Baba Saheb Ambedkar himself, because he was a strong supporter of democracy, and he was of the view that who are we to tell that people that this country will be secular or socialist. It is for the people to choose that whether they want to be secular or a socialist country or not. But
okay,
so original.
Okay, I got your point, but I just asked ChatGPT. So this is what ChatGPT is telling me. It's telling me that India became a secular country on 26th of January 1950 when its constitution came into effect. Now, here's the point. The Constitution of India, which was adopted by the Constituent Assembly on November 26, 1949, declares India as sovereign, socialist, secular, and democratic republic. However, the term secular was added to the preamble of the Constitution through the 42nd Amendment in 1976. So my point is, now again, obviously, I'm not being an expert on any of this, and I know there might be a lot more nuances, but I'm saying that the claim, even though, and correct me on that, even though the word secular might not have been added in the Constitution, but weren't the foundations of India supposed to be kind of neutral and secular?
Well, it was added later.
It was politically, you can, there were many kinds of ideologies back then. So yeah, but if you want, yes, Congress did wanted to be secular, but that is a different matter that I don't consider their secularism true secularism.
No, I get that. I know your grievances on that, but my point is, but in your opinion, when India came into existence in 49, when the Constitution was drafted or put in effect, weren't the basis of India secular? They did not go by this is a Hindu republic. I'm not saying the word.
No,
fair enough, the word wasn't added, but in principle, it was a secular country, because I know Nehru has given multiple speeches where he said that modern India is going to be a secular country.
Yeah.
So okay, so that's what we mean by that. I understand that the nuance is that the modern Indians have a problem with the secular nature, because you say, well, it's not secular, it's appeasing the minorities. I get that, but those can be tweaked a little bit more to make it better.
Okay.
But India itself, and I was giving you guys a context that India being a secular country, and in my latest video that I created, I hope you check it out. India ended up becoming a secular country. Pakistan ended up becoming a Muslim country, a Muslim welfare modern state. I don't know what the hell that is. But look at the result. India is not, India is miles ahead. There's far more social cohesion in India, as dynamic as it is, because it's like 120 million people. 1.4 billion people. Yeah. 1,200 million people. That's what I meant. And on the other hand, look, Pakistan is disintegrating because it's a Muslim republic. So, yeah.
Okay, I get it, but actually, my point was that what do you think of that? Means in 1976, that emergency was enforced, and then these changes were made in the constitution, in the preamble. Isn't that not legal to do? Illegal?
Well, I don't know. To be honest, I'm gonna plead my ignorance. I was not even aware of this. I don't know about this. I know Indira Gandhi was accused of being very dictatorial and authoritarian by nature, but I don't really know the context of it. I don't know. You say that it passed unopposed. I don't know. I don't know anything about it, so I'm not gonna give my judgment on that. But I'm saying, in my view, India being the secular country is what sets it apart from the chaos that is taking place in Pakistan. If India was not a secular country, say goodbye to all the accolades and all the respect that India gets from the world. If India was not a secular country. That's my opinion. But your question is that I don't know much about I don't know the context, so I'm not going to give any opinion on that.
People are saying you're right, Divya, in the live chat. So people are confirming.
Yeah. Well, I think she's right. Yeah, she's definitely right about this constitutional amendment in 1976. The word was added later on. Yeah. Okay.
So Divya, what do you think about this? Katie is saying Gandhi's version of secularism, which is what a lot of Indians are taught to be secularism, is not the French secularism. Indian secularism is more like all religions should live in harmony. Well, that's also like what the French. What do you agree, Divya?
Yes. Actually, for me, it's an irony because Gandhi was very religious man. So, if anyone calling him that he is the one behind secularism,
I
responsible
don't think
for secular India,
I don't think it's irony.
I
I think
know.
that's a I think a lot of people misunderstand what secularism is, so they think like that's why they don't understand when religious people push for secularism. I think it's completely in line with secularism. Doesn't mean you're an atheist. Secularism just means that you just don't want
Uh,
to be
no,
have one religion
no, I mean,
empowering. Yeah, yeah. Go
yeah,
on.
I don't mean he had, means that is my problem. He didn't just kept his religion or his views to himself. He was into religious politics. He wanted religion into politics, and that's what is irony for me, because secularism actually means that you differentiate religion from politics. And if
What kind
you
of
read
religion
what
did he
he
want
did
to?
all his life, or
What religion did he bring into
maybe
politics?
what religion? Not one religion. I mean, he did very religious kind of politics. So, if you want, I can just email you details about it.
Oh, maybe next time you could
Mm,
come and tell us live on air. That would be
So
great.
yeah.
okay. So a little bit of a quick research. Man, I'm in love with this super smart alien that I have. So Mahatma Gandhi did not explicitly use the term secular, but he always pushed for all religion for a society to be inclusive. For example, in his speech in 1947, Gandhi said, "I'm a Hindu, I'm a Muslim, I'm a Christian, I'm a Jew, and so are all of you." So this statement actually kind of it is a very secular statement to make. It's like it doesn't matter basically what you are. We're all the same. Okay. But Nehru, however, and Chacha Nehru, as we like to call him, Nehru said in multiple places where he pushed for secular India and explicitly used the term secular as well. Secular and democratic country as well. We have a great deal, and a quote, we have a great deal of work ahead of us. First and foremost, we must establish a democratic and secular state. He said that in 1947. There are 4 more examples. In The Discovery of India, Nehru wrote, I quote, "The unity of India lies not in its religion, but in its culture. It is a culture that has been shaped by the contributions of many different communities, and it is this diversity that makes India strong." In a speech in 1949, he said, our object in framing the Constitution is to lay down certain principles which will guide the country in the future. We have laid great emphasis on the principle of secularism, and it is our hope that this principle will be upheld in the years to come, end quote. In a letter to chief ministers of Indian states in 1950, Nehru wrote, "The concept of secularism means the separation of religion from politics. India is a country of many religions and communities, and it is essential that the state remains neutral in matters of religion," end quote. And another one, last one, I'll let you go after that. In a speech, geez, this is amazing. In a speech to the All India Congress Committee in 1946, this is before partition, Nehru said, quote, "The future constitution of India should be secular, and this does not mean that we will have no regard for religion." This is beautiful. "It means that the state will have no religion, and every man will be free to profess, practice, and propagate any religion he chooses." If I was an Indian, and if there was one single person I would be so proud of, that would be Chacha Nehru. This is brilliant. And yeah, he did explicitly use the term secular.
Troel is saying French secularism is no religion in politics. Indian, or more precisely, Gandhian secularism, because you just said Nehru has another view. Gandhian secularism is all religions in politics, not just one. So basically, it's not that there's not a separation of religion and politics, but all the religions have a say together in politics rather than separating it from politics.
But I mean, we also got to point out Gandhi was the spiritual face of the British independence movement. Nehru was the brains, in a way that he was more practical.
Yes.
He was a statesman. He was a genius behind it. So he was. I've read it so many times before as well. In this trifecta of Gandhi, Nehru, and Jinnah, Nehru is my favorite, hands down.
Wait, no, Dr. Ambedkar is the best one.
Yeah, but he was but I'm talking about the leading men of that. On Indians, how we had Gandhi.
Wait, leading?
Nehru.
Wasn't Dr. Ambedkar like the writer of the Constitution?
Yeah, he was. But you're going in a secondary leadership. Yeah, I'm a Baba Ambedkar fan too. Don't get me wrong. I love that guy too. But I'm saying Nehru, he was the grand architect, and I know why people hate him. So a lot of Indian nationalists today hate both Gandhi and Nehru, and I think this is great injustice to those wonderful humans. I
love him more when they hate him.
They did the best that they could do, and I reckon if Gandhiji was not around, then maybe Nehru might have been a bit more. But nothing could have been done. Unfortunately, you could blame the British for the separation, and I intend to make a detailed 40-minute video on that. But anyway, Nehru was such a genius. He knew that, and he actually he laid down the principles time and time again. And this is the reason. Look at this: a religion like Islam, which is very authoritarian, which is very inclusive and isolationist kind of a religion like that. Half the Muslims, not half, more than 35% of the Muslims of the Indian subcontinent chose to stay back in the Hindu India. You know why they chose to stay back? Because it wasn't a Hindu India, it was a secular India. The principles that were laid down by Nehru, those were secular, and people believed in it. And of course, there's some other reasons for that as well. But today's Indian nationals are upset with Nehru because they blame Nehru and Gandhi that, hey, you let this division happen. That's not a good reason to hate these guys. These guys did what they could. Anyway, they did their best.
Okay, I want to read something. I want to read Dr. Ambedkar's views on... Oh, go on. You go first, and then I'll read this. Divya, go on. You want to say something?
Yeah, actually, right now, I only want to say one line. If Gandhi's secularism is exactly the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. If you apply Gandhi's secularism in Pakistan, that is exactly what you get.
No, really? How? Also in Pakistan?
Yeah.
No, in Pakistan, Hindus and Christians are discriminated. Ahmadis are discriminated legally. How does Gandhi's inclusionism is Pakistani secularism? How? Explain that to me. Gandhi's saying we're all the same. Pakistan doesn't say we're all the same. Pakistan said we are Muslims. We are better than Hindus and Christians. How is Gandhi's secularism Pakistan secularism? Or Pakistan? You can't even mention secularism with Pakistan in one sentence. No, seriously. Tell me, Divya.
I will send
I want to know.
details about that.
No, I don't need the detail. I just want to simplify version of the argument.
No, don't put... Divya, maybe prepare your case and come next week and we could discuss that later, okay? Next week, okay?
Okay, Divya, nice seeing you. Thank you. I'm sorry about last week. We couldn't hear you. I think there was an internet connection problem.
Yes. But today is good. Yeah. I like the topic that you brought up today.
Yeah, that's a good topic. I want to know, and thank you for educating us. I wasn't aware that the word secular was added in 76, 42nd Amendment. But having said that, though, I still stand by my original claim that at the time of the partition of the subcontinent, India was the secular one and Pakistan was the Islamic one. Okay,
all right. Okay, thank you, Divya. We'll talk to you again next week. Okay, bye. All right, before we bring Vikram up, I want to read Dr. Ambedkar's view on Hinduism. Okay, Dr. B.R.
That's why you love him. That's why you love it.
I love him so much. I love him so much. Yeah, Baba. Okay. Ambedkar, a prominent social reformer and the architect of the Indian Constitution, had a critical view on Hinduism. He saw Hinduism as a religion that perpetuated the caste system, which he believed was responsible for the oppression and discrimination of millions of Dalits, formerly known as untouchables in India. Ambedkar believed that this caste system was not just a social hierarchy, but also a religious system, as it was rooted in the Hindu belief in karma and reincarnation. He argued that the Hindu scriptures, such as Manusmriti and the Bhagavad Gita, perpetuated caste discrimination and were used to justify the subjugation of Dalits. Ambedkar also believed that the Hindu religion was responsible for the backwardness of Dalits and other marginalized communities, as it denied them education, economic opportunities, and social mobility. He therefore advocated for the abolition of the caste system and the conversion of Dalits to other religions such as Buddhism, which he saw as more egalitarian and progressive. In conclusion, okay, yeah, that's it. So yeah, this is why I love the doctor.
Yeah.
All right.
I want to address this question. So, is Harris Indian? No, I'm not. I'm actually Pakistani. See, this is how much I simp for Indian constitution, the secular nature of it, and this is how much I hate the radical Hindu movement. That people can't even confuse me for an Indian, because I'm a big sucker for secularism and Indian. And I understand Indian secularism is not perfect, but that is something that you just cannot. You cannot compromise on that. Not an inch. You can't concede an inch on Indian secularism. And you've got pretty heavy names behind you. Like you have names like Chacha Nehru behind it. So yeah, I would always say it. But I just want to quickly add on that, and let's take Vikram after that. This is how I know Divya is gone. I hope she comes back next week. This is how unfair it is to, the creation of Pakistan was such a joke that there was a politician who played a key role, a Hindu politician who played a key role in the creation of Pakistan, Joginder Nath Mandal. Now, he also had grievances with the Hindu establishment. He was like Baba Ambedkar, but he was also from a lower caste, quote unquote. And he was so disillusioned by the Hindu establishment and the caste discrimination that he said, you know what, screw these Brahmins. I would rather go with these Muslims, because at least, we'll have more rights there than this Hindu hegemony that we're creating in India. So he sided with Jinnah and the Muslims of Pakistan, or for later what turned out to be Pakistan, with All India Muslim League. He sided with All India Muslim League. He played a key role in the creation of Pakistan. As a reward, Muhammad Ali Jinnah made him the first law minister of Pakistan. Can you imagine that, Armin? The first law minister of Pakistan was a Hindu. Okay, now he was working on some constitution or whatever. But then Jinnah died a year later in 1948. In 1950, Joginder Nath Mandal resigned from his post after he saw even at that point, a lot of people say that, all this shit hit the fan when, like in the 70s or whatnot. No, it started happening right from the creation of Pakistan. Why? Because it was established in the name of religion. And when that happens, all hell breaks loose. So in 1950, he resigned from his post. He said, screw this. He saw the clear, these policies were coming that was so derogatory and so discriminatory towards the minorities of Pakistan, that he resigned from his post, went back to India, and India took him. Isn't that amazing? And then he died in there. So this is one of the biggest U-turns of India-Pakistan independence movement. This guy thought that I'm going to be better off with Muslims than this India, than these Hindus. And I think he would have been right. Had India become a Hindu Rashtra or a Hindu republic, then he had legitimate concerns. But India stayed true to its words, and thanks to Gandhi's passive doctrine and Nehru's statesmanship and his firmness in creating secular India, and that's what happened. And then he went back and he lived happily ever after, I think. You're on mute.
Okay, we got a super chat. So before Vikram, sorry, I will just read the super chat and answer it really quickly, and no explanation after that, and then we'll bring Vikram up. Okay, so the super chat is by No Name. Thank you so much for the $2.79 Canadian. Okay, so the question is, also read his views on Muslims and Gandhi. Okay, so Dr. Ambedkar's views on Islam and Muslims and Gandhi. So regarding Islam,
he did not like Islam. He did not like Islam either.
Yeah. Well, we shouldn't say Muslims. We should say Islam, because I don't think he was against Muslims. He was against Islam.
No,
And
you
actually,
could
when I'm
say
reading,
that this
let me
distinction
read.
is okay.
Let me just read this, because actually it confirms what I'm saying. Okay, regarding Islam, Ambedkar recognized the contributions of Muslim rulers to India's history, such as the Mughal Empire, Emperor Akbar, who abolished the jizya tax on non-Muslims and encouraged interreligious dialogue. However, he also criticized certain aspects of Islamic belief. So I'm right. Dr. Ambedkar gets it right. He's not anti-Muslim. He's anti-Islamic, Islamic belief. Okay, so aspects of Islamic belief and practice, such as the institution of polygamy, which he saw as discriminatory towards women. He also disagreed with the Muslim League's demand for separate Muslim state, which makes sense, which led to the partition of India in 1947. So Dr. Ambedkar was against the partition. Base, Dr. Ambedkar.
So was Madudi.
Yeah, regarding Gandhi, Ambedkar had a contentious relationship. While he admired Gandhi's role in India's freedom struggle, he criticized his approach to social reform. Ambedkar believed that Gandhi's emphasis on non-violence and religious piety did not go far enough in addressing the structural injustices of the caste system. Ambedkar also disagreed with Gandhi's view that the Dalits should remain with the Hindu fold and seek reform from within, arguing that this approach had failed for centuries and that conversion to another religion was necessary for Dalit revelation. Let me also add, in defense of Dr. Ambedkar with regarding to Buddhism, Dr. Ambedkar was not promoting Buddhism. Look at Dr. Ambedkar was promoting Enlightenment values, was promoting Western Enlightenment values, but he was just giving it a cover of Buddhism. What he was teaching had less to do with Buddhism. He only had the cover of Buddhism, but he was teaching equality, having rights, egalitarianism. These were Western Enlightenment values, but he knew that under that brand, it wouldn't sell in India because of this anti-colonial attitude that people justifiably had at that point. So he was like, hey, this is actually Buddhism, which it was.
But having said that, what these people are saying, I'm assuming he might have said something which in today's language, we might see that, okay, this is an absolutist statement. Like we have learned to be careful with our wording and be more concise when we say not all Muslims or something. So there might be some statements where he would have said, oh, Muslims do this, Muslims do that, which might be true in general sense. But obviously, we're now more cautious of not generalizing groups of people. There's been emphasis on, finding nuances, and there's emphasis on, not clumping people together in what was it called, hasty generalization. Yeah. So there might be some statements like that, but you're saying, but overall, as much as I've read up on Baba Ambedkar, the guy was ahead of his time. He was ahead of his time, and his views were spot on. Whether that's Islam or Hinduism, casteism, caste discrimination, etc., he was pretty spot on.
Yeah.
Vikram.
Anyways, Vikram, hey.
Hello, everybody. How are you guys?
Good. I heard your man has cancer.
I read about that today.
No, it's
I read
not.
both. One side, he says he does not have cancer, but his team says he has cancer.
Sartorial Shooter has been spreading this rumor. Well, now I'm going to say rumor because this shows a massive divide amongst taters. So we don't know what's going on. Where did this directive come from? Did they plan that? Okay, we're gonna claim medical leave or something. So he said, these taters started spreading the story, and there was this report that was uncovered by Spy News or some crap, which is a tabloid Romanian BS kind of news outlet. They showed a medical report that apparently, I don't understand the medical lingo, but I'm just paraphrasing what I was reading from people underneath that report, that, this is clear that he's got some form of cancer in its early stages, so he needs to be released from prison, and they need to transport him to some other even some other even country, advanced country, so he can seek medical assistance. But Andrew Tate just came out and he said, I don't have any cancer. I don't know, you know. So this is let me share that with you guys, so you know. So let's just read that. Where has I do not have cancer. My lungs contain precisely 0 smoking damage. What an idiot. I think he took that upon himself as an insult. In fact, I have an 8-liter lung capacity and the vital signs of an Olympic athlete. He thought, no, lung cancer is an insult to my manhood and my alphaness. So I'm not going to take that line down. Screw my defense team. I'm not going to claim, medical illness or mental insanity. No, screw this. I've got to look like an alpha male. So that's what he said. So he denied that. There's nothing but a scar on my lung from an old battle. True warriors are scarred both inside and out. So apparently there's just a scar. So that's what the medical report was all about. There's no cancer. There's just a little scar. So that's it. Thank you very much for once being honest, Andrew Tate. So there's nothing, calm down, guys. There's nothing wrong. The guy's healthy. So let him stay in prison.
Okay, Vikram should ask his question. Sorry.
I was going to bring that up earlier, but yeah, I don't really have much to say on it. I don't know. At the end of the day, At the end of the day, I feel like it's until you know for sure. It's just you can't really say. It's just a rumor online. Like even the thing about how he got arrested because Greta Thunberg's tweet pissed him off or whatever. That's also just an internet rumor. Like it's probably like the police officers already knew he was in Romania.
Yeah, that was proven of course they knew. That was like it's not probably, it's almost
It's got nothing to do with Greta Thunberg's tweet or anything.
That's what Tate is. But it was funny, to have fun with that for a while.
No, but Armin, Taters and these conspiracy theorists, they started claiming that this is why, because Greta Thunberg is the face of this secret society establishment, globalist establishment, and so there's because you poked her, that's why they came after her. Like, screw you! It's been under investigation for
I'm
months.
actually worried for Greta. I think she needs a security team. There's so much hate about her going online. I think something might happen to her. Somebody,
I think she's loaded. Don't worry about that. She's got.
Yeah, I know she's loaded, but no. I've seen when she goes and does activism, there's no security.
They're behind the camera.
Okay, I hope she.
I don't think she would be walking around without security. That they would know. People would know.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you guys about when you were talking about that doctor, I didn't know much about him. Ambedkar or something like that.
Ambedkar, Baba Ambedkar. Yes.
When I googled, they said like he was like a Buddhist or something.
No, he wasn't. That's just BS. No, he wasn't a Buddhist. He was an atheist.
Yeah. He's the guy that
who drafted the Constitution of India.
The Constitution of India. Yeah. And he's like so here's the thing. Most people in the world, including Indians, don't know. The people who say India needs to become a Hindu nation don't know that their constitution was drafted by somebody that hated Hinduism. The founding father of India and its constitution hated Hinduism. You should let more Indians know that, because that will just blow their minds.
But that actually that strengthens their argument. They say, well, this was written by anti-Hindu bigot or something. No, I don't think they call him that. But if you start pushing that point, then they would say, well, see, that's why we need a Hindu.
I'm not talking about the radicals. I'm talking about your average Indian guy. Like it's just an interesting fact to drop. They were like,
but Armin, you're going to push those average Hindus towards radical Hindu side. Because they're like, no, really? No. Really? Ambedkar was anti-Hindu? Screw this, we need a new constitution. They would say that.
No, but I'm thinking they will say like maybe there's something wrong with Hinduism. Ambedkar is too lovable for people to say scooter. I would bet you that most of them will be like more screw Hinduism part. Yeah. It's too like people can't hate. It's hard to hate on Ambedkar.
Yeah. Another question I had, I was going to ask. It was going to be about a cosmic skeptic. I know Armin and I talked about it. but about how like he recently left veganism.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes. How
Armin
is
had
the
a debate
vegan
with
world?
him. Armin had a
Yes,
debate
yes.
with him on veganism. That was very interesting.
I think it was that my debate. That's what's convinced it.
That was 4 years ago.
I'm kidding.
No,
But
those points must have been hitting him for the last 4
yeah.
years.
No, personally, I lost so much respect for him when
I gained respect for him. No, I gained.
but
So
also-
you lost. I gain respect for somebody that can change their mind, especially when so many people are relying on you. Do you have any idea how crazy the vegan community can get? Do you know how? If I was Muslim,
They
okay,
behave like cults.
coming out, okay, as non-Muslim, okay, telling people like I was Muslim, non-Muslim, I would be less afraid than being vegan and coming out and saying, okay, I used to be vegan, I am no longer a vegan. That second one is more terrifying, okay? So I admire the man's bravery for coming out and publicly. So he was the most rational. Okay, he is the most rational vegan there was out there. Like when it comes to making arguments for veganism, you could not do better than this guy. There's nobody else like that even comes close to him. So the vegan community was like, this is, a lot of them were looking at him as if they're, especially the atheist one, who believe that people who are atheists should be rational and also be vegan. They were like hanging on this man's every word, and he had become their prophet. They were throwing this everywhere. And now, do you understand the level of anger that exists within the vegan community for him to come out and say that he's no longer a vegan? And especially the amount of radicalism that exists within this community. He has a mob after him who want to. I have seen threats of RAPE. I have threats. Yeah,
I understand that. And my point was not about like how the community reacts, because communities online are always going to be toxic. I meant more like it feels a lot like you realize that, let's say you own slaves, you realize that owning slaves is really bad and you stop doing it, and you start like going around telling people to stop doing it. You go around giving speeches, you're like literally saying like, hey, if you own slaves, you shouldn't be doing that, it's atrocious. Even if it comes at a cost to yourself, you need to stop. And then he just goes back to it. I don't know, it just feels like massive hypocrisy.
It's not massive hypocrisy. It's like admitting when you were wrong. It's an admission that you're wrong about something. What's wrong with that? This is not comparable. This is not a good comparison. No. This is not a good comparison because slavery is wrong. Okay, but eating meat, eating animal product is not wrong. And he's the difference between your example and his example is that he realized the problem with his arguments. But somebody going back to slavery, well, that's not a good change in opinion, because that's going backwards. This guy is like admitting that he was wrong about something.
But his reasoning is not that he changed his mind on whether eating meat is wrong, as much as he changed his mind on whether him eating meat would contribute to a change in a society, like in how many animals would be harmed. He feels like even like removing him as a meat eater would not change society that much.
That is him admitting being wrong. That was my argument. What we need for animal rights and animal well-being is policies, not individual people making different decisions. That's not going to help. Okay, especially when people have such a hard time picking the right food to remain get all the nutrition. Even people that have all the choices, it's difficult for them to make sure they get all their nutrition. And now you're going to limit a major part of what you can get, and you think like, oh, it's possible to still get everything. Yes, it's possible, but it's very difficult. So you're introducing something that is a major harm to individuals and not much benefit to animals, and also redirecting activism away from something that actually benefits animals. So animal rights activism, people associate that with veganism, where actual more productive animal rights activism would have been legal changes from the top down, not from individual changes. And all this hijacking of animal rights into promoting veganism has made more animals suffer because of the redirection of activism into somewhere that is not as productive. So what he's saying actually makes complete sense. You're saying he's not saying he's wrong because this is his reasoning, but what his reasoning is exactly that his views before were wrong.
No. What I meant was that he's not saying that eating meat is moral. He recognizes that it is not, but he believes that him not eating meat would not would not lead to like a big change in. But
that's exactly the point. No, that's it. I agree with that. I told him in my debate, yes, this is immoral, but we cannot not do everything. Like I told, the example I give is that if my air conditioner being on is immoral, okay? Because I could have made my situation a little bit more uncomfortable, okay? And save the money and donate it to, I don't know, like children in Turkey being under earthquake. So the fact that I have my aircon on shows that I prefer my comfort more than saving children. So the thing is that it's not just eating animals. There's many things you do. The fact that you have a fridge, the fact that you buy a phone, so many things you do that technically in isolation are immoral. But what you should expect from people to make this world more moral is not to stop everything that you could find as immoral, because there's so many things. It's for us to just be a little bit more moral, not to remove everything. Because the arguments that you make for veganism, I could make for everything. I could make that for your PlayStation. I could make that for driving a car. I could make that for buying a watch. I could make that for everything. And to expect people to do everything morally paralyzes you to the point that you don't even care about being moral. So the expectation that we should have from people is not to remove everything immoral from their life, is to just try to make one step progress, be a little bit more moral, not to be completely avoid of immorality.
All right,
that's my argument.
I think we've got that. Okay, any one of you guys want to check it out? There's a very interesting conversation between Armin Navabi and Cosmic Skeptic on veganism, and there's a little clip as well from Cosmic Skeptic clips. But this is the debate on Atheist Republic. It's there. It's about an hour and a half, an hour and 45-minute long. And I think, Armin did really well in that. I mean, even though I've always stepped short of becoming a vegan, but I'm not fully convinced from the ethical side of it. I get the nuances, and I'm not going to debate my lock horns with Armin Navabi on the pros and cons of veganism, but I do say that if I'm a goat, I would rather not want you eat me.
Care.
But all the environmental parts and all the health benefits, I think those are secondary BS arguments by vegans. But anemia, and I tried being a vegan twice, and I failed. I think my second attempt lasted for about 3 months or something like that. It was almost impossible for me. But having said that, though, I cannot say factory farming and all of that crap, that's bad. But vegans also go fully absolutely crazy in that suffering element, because then they say, well, the more farming land you need, the more suffering is going to cause microbials and little earthworms and all that kind of crap. So it does damage the environment. So I get it, and I'm just going to go with the status quo. And I'm going to say I tend not to eat. I don't eat beef as much. I enjoy an occasional steak. I don't eat lamb or goat, or I don't eat many animal products. But I do eat chicken. And that's where most of my protein intake comes from, and I get it. And the way I have rationalized it is like, chickens are stupid, so they're not going to suffer as much.
It's not about that. It's not about being smart. Oh my God.
No. Well, it is. No. There's a hierarchy of that as well. The suffering.
No, it's not.
Okay.
The trait is not smartness. If it was about smartness, then we'd be okay to kill dumb people. That's not the trait that makes it.
No. Comparing an earthworm with a dumb people. So that goes into speciation.
You changed my point.
No, hang on, listen to my point. Speciation. As a species, whether we're dumb or not, as a species, we have to respect our own fellow.
Why?
That's it. Well, yeah, because that's a draw. No, that's the survivalism of your own species, and that's a basic
Okay, see,
requirement of
you're
any
making
society.
a Darwinism point. You just became a Nazi.
No, I didn't.
You're making naturalistic arguments for morality. That's Nazism. Congratulations.
No. That's a terrible straw man. That's terrible.
I'm kidding. That's social Darwinism. That's social. It's not. So that's called social Darwinism.
Yeah, that goes amongst races. I'm not going into races. I'm going in species. I'm looking at a species level.
No. It's not, I'm not talking about race. I'm talking about social Darwinism. I was exaggerating when I said Nazism.
Yes, exactly.
That is social Darwinism. That's wrong.
No. This is not social Darwinism. So when we go with species, when we look at species, that's it. Human species at the top. I don't care. Yeah, if monkeys have the ability.
You just said we have to survival of our species. You just made a Darwinistic point for morality. That's called social Darwinism. That is absolutely wrong.
Social Darwinism goes into that. Okay, we go into the survival of the fittest model. We go into further categorization within our species as well. Like, okay,
not necessarily. You're appealing to nature.
But that's where it gets dangerous, right? No. That's where it gets.
In general, morality, you have to make a utilitarian argument for it. You can't go into nature and say because something was natural and because something is a natural law, then we have to use our moral principles, copying what is evolutionary, seems to be metaphorically at the purpose of evolutionary processes. That is completely beside. In fact, in many cases, it's the opposite. For example, if you look at nature through the process of evolution, what tends to survive is the fittest. But we have a different definition of what fittest means. But if you look at actually what works from a moral perspective and what we try to apply in our as our standards, both legally and morally, is the opposite. Is the opposite of what works in.
So how would you? No, you're not understanding my. No, you're not understanding.
I haven't even finished my point, though. I haven't even finished my point. For example, what we do is that we try to take care of the weakest. I'm not saying that this is the point you're making. I know you're not talking about survival of the fittest. I'm just using an example of trying to show that we don't look at nature to try to see what we should doing morally. So you're saying that. Here's the question: why do we have to take care of our species more than chickens? Why?
Yeah, because we're going to put our survival first.
Why?
Because we want to survive like any species. We want to survive, and we have the control and the means to decide. So we're 100 out of 100, million out of million. We would always pick our species. And you can't make a utilitarian argument in that, because if there is an advanced species that can be better custodians of this planet and that can be better for all the other life forms on Earth, we would still say, F you, we're going to keep ourselves in charge, even though we're stupider than you, this advanced alien species. And why? It's because this is a natural tendency of every species to look for its best, and we have bigger brains, and we can make a claim that and on these bases alone, we can make the point that we want to survive.
So I was completely correct. You're appealing to nature, right?
That's fine.
So
it's a natural desire.
Not fine.
It's a natural desire.
That's a fallacy. Yes. That's a logical fallacy.
Not to tell me how is that a logical fallacy.
Okay, so for example, if you want to appeal to our nature, it's like we have a natural tendency to take care of other human beings more than other species, okay? So because of that, you're saying it's moral because it's natural. That is exactly an appeal to nature. For example, if that is true, then you could justify racism with that as well.
No,
because we have just because you interrupt me, that doesn't make it. That doesn't make a good argument. But I haven't finished my point. I haven't finished.
I know where you're going with that, but this is such a stupid point.
Let me make a point for other people as well.
Okay, make the point.
Okay, so I'm not saying that you are saying racism was okay because it's natural. I'm not saying that you're saying it. You're saying taking. I'm not saying that you're not saying that, okay? I'm saying that I understand that. I understand that you're saying because naturally we're more interested in taking care of our species, then it's okay. It justifies morally for us to prioritize our species. But if you want to use, I know that this is not your point, but that line of reasoning can be applied to the fact that we naturally are tribal. We are naturally more interested in taking care of people who look like us than people who don't look like us. So if one natural argument can be applied, another natural can be applied as well.
Okay.
I know you know it. I was just trying to get the ideas, but they understand as well.
Okay, I get it. I think people do understand that. So this is a problem with people like you. When you say that, okay, since you have built this argument on nature, therefore everything else has to follow the same line of reasoning. That's not how it works. The more nuances that you add, you can draw a line and you can put a full stop that it stops at the species. All of these models, this is why they become arbitrary. This is why we say the different lines of reasoning when we define morality and ethics as well. This is why sometimes utilitarianism works, sometimes other lines of reasoning work. So when I say, when it comes to other species, we will appeal to nature. So now when I say appeal to nature, that doesn't mean that when it comes to race, when it comes to rape, when it comes to cannibalism, we can apply the same line of reasoning. No, we can stop at the species, and then after that we can go into other moral principles. We can. There's no problem with that. I just told you. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Sorry, go on. Okay, go on.
I know. Oh my God, Harris.
You're saying that it would lead to that. I know you're saying that leads to that.
I know that you say that you could make this argument appeal to nature when it comes to species, and you can't make that on race. I know that, because if you didn't think that, you would be a racist, and I know you're not. Okay, but I'm saying that but you don't have any arguments for why. So tell me, for example, if we are saying, maybe you do. If you do, you have to say it. You say, like, we have to draw a line. We appeal to nature to show that we prefer our species. But when it comes to race, we don't appeal to nature. We draw a line. I'm like, okay, great, we draw a line. Why? If I use the argument, okay, so here's the question, okay? If I say, because it's natural for us to prefer our own species, then it's okay to prefer our species, but because it's natural to prefer our own race, but in that situation, it's not okay to prefer our own race. Tell me why the appeal to nature works on one of them and the appeal on nature does not work on the other one.
That's very easy. Now we can go into utilitarianism. We could say that, okay, there's no evidence that other species deserve less human rights. Other races deserve less human rights. We can create better societies that are more multicultural, that are more inclusive and populist, that are more egalitarian, and therefore we don't have to be tribal when it comes to races.
Okay, so perfect. So the appeal to nature was not necessarily from the beginning. Okay,
from the beginning.
So no, it wasn't, because both had the appeal to the nature, right? One of them had a utilitarian argument, the other one didn't. So the differentiating thing was not the nature. The differentiating thing was the cost and benefit. So you didn't even need to appeal to nature.
I'll tell you how that's dangerous. Now let me pick holes in your utilitarianism when it comes to protecting your own species. You're saying, okay, well, that's more beneficial. Beneficial for who? Like I gave you an example. If there's an advanced alien species comes and they say, well, sorry, you've destroyed this planet. You've destroyed you've contributed to the suffering of most species. So let us take over. We're going to press a button and we're going to make you go extinct. And, it would be better for the planet, better for the rest of the species. How are you going to go by that? How are you going to say no?
This is a misunderstanding of utilitarianism. Utilitarianism does not mean what is best for me. Utilitarianism means what's best for everybody. Yes. So obviously making somebody go extinct, that's not going to be utilitarianism. Utilitarianism based on
cost and benefit.
That would not be
no, it is cost and benefit. More species are going to get benefit out of that by us going extinct.
No. This is why you have to understand the difference between act utilitarianism and rule utilitarianism.
Tell me how, but tell me how would you tell them no?
So because we apply rule utilitarianism, right? So we have certain things that act like principles but are not principles, right? Because if you allow that principle, like rule, then that will apply to them as well. You know what I mean? So if something comes above them, they would have to submit to that. So instead of coming with rule utilitarianism, instead of looking at what is allowed in every single situation, we look at the rules that if you allow, okay, would cause the highest amount of well-being, and the rules that if you disallow would reduce the highest amount of misery. Right. So just because the same argument that you're making against me, like, oh, okay, so how you wouldn't have any argument against that alien being for him to come and wipe you. Right. So they shouldn't wipe us, because you could make the same argument for them, that alien species. They shouldn't apply that rule to us, because if they do, that rule will also apply to them, and somebody else could come and wipe them out.
They would deal with it then. And yes, if they're applying that rule again, okay. Well, no, very quickly though. That's so easy. So they would be like, yes, we would. No, I do understand. They would say yes or no. They may not apply the rule on us because we will be better custodians of the planet. We will cause less suffering to other living beings on the planet than you have, and we would be better than you. Therefore, if an more advanced alien species comes to us, they would look at the results. They would say, "Whoa, everything is hunky-dory here. No one's suffering. So voila, we're gone."
Okay, so we have a disagreement. I just believe that the simple rule of not exterminating entire species is a good rule, productive rule to have, right? And with rule utilitarianism, instead of applying that calculation every single time, perpetuating and promoting certain rules is more beneficial than constantly running the calculation.
Would you wipe out? Would you wipe out the virus that causes malaria? Would you make that?
No, we're talking about self-aware entities. Yeah. We're talking about self-aware people. We don't care at all about anything that is not self-aware.
Okay, fine. So let's just go back to the original argument. So you say my argument would be better in that we can appeal to nature, our selfish desire to survive. Would be, and by the way, also utilitarian, you cannot actually, that's very robotic. You cannot, because the nature would actually not care about us getting wiped out or not. There's still a desire to survive, and cost benefit.
We don't care about what nature doesn't care about anything.
Exactly. So going back to our argument that if we appeal to nature, that there is a desire to survive, which is within the norms of nature. We have a desire to survive like any other species, and therefore we will make our decisions for ourselves. And if a few species get wiped out along the way, that's bad luck. And you don't have to apply the same line of reasoning amongst different races, because you can apply the utilitarian principle there, as I said.
So the whole reason why we have a utilitarian argument is because we care. Okay, we care, right? And this is the whole idea of what we apply this care to is our choice. Utilitarianism and morality is not something that is ingrained with nature. These are social agreements, right? And as humans that we are coming up with the social agreements, and we can decide to be more inclusive or less inclusive. That's a choice, right? So we could make utilitarian arguments where humans matter and other animals don't
matter less.
Well, or less. But we are growing to evolve, socially are evolving to be more inclusive in the circle, and I think that is better. I like that we're moving. There's no hard rule for how wide or narrow the circle has to be. But we are moving in this direction. We're allowing bunnies and chickens and everybody else. That's good.
Yeah, but I just showed you
the world without suffering.
No, but I showed you that you can add another nuance to that. We can add on another nuance on that principle as well. We don't have to go full nature in everything. Survival of the fittest, disabled people, throw them off the rooftops. No, we're not saying that. And it can be perfectly fine. So you can adopt, and this is the problem with a lot of theists actually pose that to us. They're like, oh, because you're an atheist, because you're arbitrary, your morality could be arbitrary. Therefore, why would you not support incest or eugenics or whatever? So they just go like, okay, no, hang on a second. When you add different nuances, you can always go into so the Vasta example that we use is minimalization of suffering and maximizing of pleasure. So this is a very broad definition. Where does everything fit in? Like would
self-awareness.
Yeah, that's fine. But yeah.
So here's the thing. Here's the or general awareness actually. So here's the thing. I don't actually disagree with you that humans should be prioritized. Okay, I prioritize humans. I just think that the trait that makes us prioritize humans is not intelligence. Okay, I think the trait that makes we prioritize.
No, neither is mine.
Yeah, okay.
I'm much smarter. No, I'm actually using a more primitive reasoning behind that. I'm saying we are species. We have to look for our betterment. Even if there's more intelligent alien being that comes, we will fight it for our survival. Even if they are better for every other species on Earth.
I think it's not the fact that they're not human. Like it's not like speciesism, and it's not intelligence. It's awareness. Like if we had bunnies coming and talking to us and making a philosophical argument for why I don't know, utilitarianism is not as good as we think it is, I think we would not kill and eat that bunny. Okay?
Exactly.
I think we will. Okay, so that bunny.
Intelligence. That goes intelligence.
It's not intelligence. Like even if we had a dumb dummy, okay, bunny, we had a dumb bunny, like let's say for example,
it would still be smarter than any other animal.
Okay, yeah, but
because here's the argument, Armin. Listen,
it's not intelligence. It's the fact that we're saying this bunny is aware of its inexistence. We
do associate suffering with comprehension or with intelligence. We do. We don't
comprehension. Yes, intelligence. No.
Yes, we don't mind. Some of the nicest people on Earth, we don't mind if a fly is annoying us, freaking kill that shit. We're not going to do that to a dog or a cat. We just won't do it. Just because in our mind we think that these animals are more advanced animals and the suffering is larger. Okay. And also size is another one. We also base it on size as well for some reason.
No, like here's the thing. A pig is smarter than a baby seal. Okay? Yeah. But we care about baby seals more than we care about pigs. We because they're cute.
But these are bad habits. Yeah, but these are bad habits that you're talking about. We go by cuteness. Yeah, I know. These are bad habits that we have established. But when I spoke about earlier about earthworm, and I said, well, I would, I wouldn't feel bad about killing an earthworm, but eating a goat, it tells me that okay, with that the element of suffering in a goat would be higher than that of an earthworm, and so intelligence does play a role. When people realize that how elephants suffer, how they mourn the loss of the death, people feel more about elephants than people feel about, let's say, earthworms, cockroaches. They don't care.
Okay. Anyway, well, Vikram, we hijacked your. Sorry, Vikram.
Yeah. No worries. I had something else to talk about the cosmic skeptic thing, but we've completely kind of moved away from that now.
We got a good monologue out of that, and we scared away a lot of people. There was like 80 people watching us. Anyway.
Yeah. What I was going to say was that I understand, like, say, because there were many ways he could have kept with his moral system, but maybe eating stuff that's more, I guess, animal kind of a bit. Like, if he started eating mollusk or certain seafoods that are not sentient, he could have kept to his moral framework and just fixed whatever issue he had with, like, proteins or whatever. But yeah, it made no sense for why, like, or maybe he could have gone vegetarian, or maybe like just like once a week meat or whatever. But I feel like he's kind of an extreme guy. He went vegan right away, even though he couldn't do it, and then he went.
Wait, how do you know? How do you know? How do you know that when he says he's not a vegan anymore, that he's not just only eating mussels, for example?
Because he mentions that in the post that he made.
What, he says he's eating full on chickens and steak and all now?
Let's see.
Harris, while he looks for that, I want to ask you a question, right? So why not, if we're a meat eater, okay, why not just eat animals that don't have a brain?
I built my whole case against it. I said I feel not as bad as eating chicken as I feel bad about eating cows, eating a cow, yeah.
Nope.
Or go the other way. No, so chicken
No,
are
I'm
less
talking about
intelligent
animals that have no brains at all. There's no
Yeah.
way to suffer them to suffer at all, right?
Yeah,
Like
that's fine.
why not just eat? It's healthy too. It's very healthy. Why not just eat like shellfish?
Yeah, eat it.
No, okay, but do you eat chicken?
I do eat chicken, yeah.
Okay, why do you eat chicken given that you can eat just shellfish and mussels?
so
You can get your meat.
Yeah, look, shellfish doesn't quench your or satisfy
so it's
you.
pleasure. So it's not health; it's just pleasure.
No. I
make
never
chicken.
said, no.
You make chicken suffer for your pleasure, for your.
Yeah, I know,
buds.
but I would admit that it is not the ideal circumstance. But I cannot also not live without eating meat, consuming meat. I make a realistic argument. Here it is. I've always said it. If there was an alternative, when lab-grown meat becomes accessible for everyone to eat, I would hands down every time I would go eat.
Oh, that's easy. Oh my God! Well, that's obviously. I would obviously. If you make it very convenient for me, then I will stop torturing animals. But just make it very convenient for me. Thank you very much. Until then, the chicken will suffer from my taste buds.
But I also recognize our biological limitations as well. Yeah, like the best thing would have been we drew energy from this biggest.
Just come to my side. Just come to my side. You know what I say? I eat chicken. I eat steak. Do you know what I say? I know it's immoral. I'm doing immoral things, just like my aircon, just like my heater. I know that what I'm doing is immoral, but what I'm doing is like I'm not good. Yeah, but what I'm trying to do is not to remove everything immoral from my life. I'm just trying to be more moral, not complete a goddamn saint. Vikram, go on.
No, hang on, Vikram. No, but you said more moral. Yeah, that's a good goal to have. We want to live a more ethical and moral life than.
Not completely more.
Yes, but there are these little baby steps along the way. So, for example, using the aircon 24/7 is damaging for the environment, but that is not as bad as torturing an animal. Like we are individualists.
It's worse. It's worse actually. My aircon is worse. I'm telling you, if I turn my aircon 2 degrees higher, I don't even have to turn it off. Okay, 2 degrees higher with the money that I could save from that. Okay, I could feed a starving child for a year in Africa. A year.
Yeah, that goes in the argument of so that goes in a collective argument. It's like so if the amount of money that I earn, all the extra money, if I take out all my leisures out of that, like my fun and enjoyment money, and I put it away. No. Like let's say I make $100,000 and I only need. For my bare minimum, for bare essentials, I only need $20,000 and $80,000. I donate that $80,000 every year. That's not going to remove poverty from the world. So there would still be suffering. Oh
my God, who's talking about removing poverty? I'm just talking about the life of one child. Yeah, I didn't say. I'm not talking about whether or not I could eliminate poverty. I'm not talking about changing the world. I'm talking about one. Even if I can't eliminate poverty, I can save that one child. I'm convincing you that I'm evil, and you're trying to convince me otherwise. I'm like saying I am. Yeah,
no,
it's not an all. It's not a all or all, doing something that is beneficial. It's not only. It doesn't only make sense to do something good for the world only if you could solve the entirety of the situation. No. This is not a 0 or 100. This is not binary.
Exactly. So I get that point, and this is why I'm saying that when you so it comes at a cost, and you say, okay, I've given up so much of my quality of life over one individual, and yes, that individual's life would be improved tenfold or whatever, but my quality of life would also go down. You would want to do it. I get it. Charity is good, but drawing pleasure from that would not be satisfying enough because there would always be poor people. There would always be homeless people. There would always. I get it. I know you're not saying that. Okay, well, it doesn't.
And we shouldn't do anything moral, because anything moral you do will not eliminate.
That's why. That's why philanthropy doesn't work.
Nothing works. Anything you want to. Why are you doing activism against Islam? Because you yourself cannot eliminate Islam. Why give money to the poor?
I swear, I believe I can. I swear, I believe I can. I swear on Darwin. I would not be doing it if I didn't. You
yourself?
I genuinely believe. No, not entirely myself, but I know that when the movement grows, then all of us, it gets bigger and bigger, and then it gets better. So
in that case, I can make that case for poverty as well. Poverty will eliminate it as well. If I help with poverty, I'm not going to be. Hold on, let me finish my point, because you finish your point.
Yeah.
Then in that case, if you are saying that you by yourself cannot remove Islam, but together we can, then I will make the same case. One day poverty will be eliminated from the world. So together we work together and we make it happen. I myself, I'm not going to be able to remove poverty. But if I was part of the solution, we would have been one step closer in that direction.
So philanthropy, it's different, because philanthropy doesn't actually work that way. I'm a big fan of Imran Khan in that case, because when he was a philanthropist before he became a prime minister. And that resonated with me for a very long time. And he said, I can create 10, he can kill himself for the rest of his life, and he can create 10 cancer hospitals. He's only managed to create 2 or 3, I think. 2, I think. He said, but still that would not remove poverty and suffering from Pakistan on a scale if he becomes a prime minister. So this is why I believe the individual contributions, yes, they look cute and pretty, and it satisfies you, but poverty can only be alleviated, and human suffering can be removed only by governments. I genuinely believe that. So
it's okay if philanthropy doesn't work. Okay, so if it's government, then the right politicians in power would have fixed poverty. So that money that I would save from the 2 degrees higher would be me. I would spend it on political activism. I would spend it on the campaigns. It doesn't matter what the solution is. No. So therefore, by making my room comfortable, I am doing an evil act. Because if you're saying that political activism would actually solve poverty more, then that money that I would save from my air conditioner, instead of giving it to the poor, I would spend it on wherever you are saying that actually helps remove poverty. Whatever you think is the best solution, I would spend it on that. Political activism to get the right people in power. Say no more. That's where it would go. But no, it would not go there. You know why? Because I like to be comfortable. Because I like to live work in a room that is exactly the temperature that makes me the most comfortable. So I am prioritizing my comfort over people starving to death.
No. I can turn that argument around too. I can say, well, no, your health and your comfort is important, because if you turn it up 2 degrees higher or less, that would create an environment comfortable enough for you to be able to achieve your goals, that is destroying Islam. So therefore, it is absolutely essential for you to lower it by 2 degrees and damage the environment just a teeny bit and play a role. So that is not really evil. That is still good, because you're doing something bigger.
Exactly. So you came to my point, because I am saying that if you try to be moral everywhere, it will paralyze you. It will make you a non-productive member of society.
That's not the point you made initially.
That's moral paralysis.
Yeah. I go, but initially that wasn't the point you made. So I think it started with animal. You said, why don't you eat chicken, shellfish?
That's the argument I make for eating chicken. Okay, because chicken makes me happy. Okay, and I need to be happy.
Yeah, I accepted that.
So that's what the whole point. I'm saying. Okay. I have a little bit of evil in my life. Okay, it's not that it's not evil. I'm just saying I can't be completely not evil. Okay.
No, I never said that.
Everybody is somewhat. I know. We're agreeing. We're agreeing, Harris.
I know. But I don't want to conflate the two positions either, because my point was, I eat chicken. I am choosing the lesser evil of let's say 3 options. I'm not eating cow and pigs. They're more complicated animals based on intelligence and suffering. So I go with chicken. And you say, no, you can go one step further, and you can go eat shellfish. That's what you're saying, yeah? So so we're agreeing there, and I'm saying, no, I am making a lesser evil option, but not the least evil option. Oh no,
exactly.
Yeah, so I'm fine with that.
Exactly. Yeah, so I'm fine with that as well. I know that I could. No, So I'm just saying I could go to a lesser evil, which is shellfish instead of chicken. But I'm eating chicken. Okay, I'm eating chicken because I really love chicken. I could be a lesser evil somewhere else. You know what I mean? I'd rather, like, for example, donate money to, I don't know, against factory farming and eat my chicken. Okay, I will be in this part. I'm not going to be a saint. I will contribute somewhere else because you can't contribute everywhere. You can't be good everywhere. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying too.
We are agreeing. I know
we're being less evil. Yeah. Okay. All right. Poor Vikram.
Yeah. Okay. Vikram. Sorry. Last point, Vikram, because we have to. I'm getting hungry talking about chicken. So, to be honest.
No, I was just trying to say, and I'll just make that my last point. I was just going to say that if not everybody can go like vegan right away or whatever, so whoever's like interested in it, and I feel like Cosmic Skeptic should have done that. They should do what Rationality Rose has been doing, which is that I think he went. At first, he was like mostly pescatarian. Then he became, I think, a pescatarian. Now he's on vegetarian, and he took like a whole lot of years. But it's like it's like baby steps, like step by step over years. And I think he said by next year or 2 years from now he'll be vegan. And I feel like
are you vegan?
A lot of like what's what Cosmic Skeptic should have done. Like instead of trying to go extreme right away, like kind of baby step it.
Are you vegan, Vikram?
Yeah. We've talked about it before.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying it so people know.
Oh
yeah.
Because for me it was easy because growing up, like, because I came from a Hindu background, I always ate vegetarian. So yeah, and I only ate chicken as meat before, so it was quite easy for me. But not everybody is gonna have like this easy over time. So for other people, it makes sense to just improve as much as you can, but you don't need to go all in right away.
Wait, I need to address this guy. This guy is so funny. This guy thinks that religious people thinking that they own words and it doesn't belong to other people. So this guy's saying atheists using terms like evil, LOL, 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 laughing emoji, tears of joy emoji, tears of joy emoji, tears of joy emoji. We use the term evil because words are a social construct and we can define it the way we want. You don't have a monopoly over evil. In fact, not only do we use the word evil, I will tell you that non-atheistic viewpoints are evil. Religion is evil. So yeah, we use it and we use it against religion. God is evil. So you think that you have a monopoly over good and bad and evil. Yeah, you don't. You are actually, your source of morality is actually evil itself.
Yeah, and even if you're an atheist, you can still say like, oh my God, or even thank God as an expression. Even you don't actually mean like a God, you know.
I avoid them as much as I can, but I'm like, yeah, I understand. Like, even if you use it, it's no big deal. Okay, correction. I will add that to the end of the video when you get the excerpt. I think I made the comment that Ambedkar was not a Buddhist. Actually, he was, and again, pardon my ignorance. As I said, like I've only read. Yeah,
no, you were correct.
No, I said he was. No, I said he was not a Buddhist.
I thought when you said that, you meant that you were kind of agreeing with me that he was a Buddhist, but he was using the term Buddhism as a cover because he was trying to sell Enlightenment values in India, and he was branding it as Buddhism. That's what I thought you meant.
No, okay. But he actually officially converted to Buddhism.
Yeah,
and there was a significant it is regarded, Ambedkar's conversion is regarded as a significant event in Indian history, as thousands of people, and that actually went to the Dalit Buddhist movement, and we see that now a lot of Dalits actually there are mass conversions of Dalits into Buddhism, and there's this whole. I was totally oblivious. I say this again, even when I was speaking earlier, I have only read Nehru, Gandhi, and Jinnah's trifecta in detail. Baba Ambedkar, I have seen snippets of it. I've seen his brilliance here and there. I'm not fully aware of that. But I do see that there is what they call a neo-Buddhist movement in India. There are a lot of YouTube channels as well. And I've fallen victim, not victim, I wouldn't say victim, but I've been fooled in thinking that they are atheists like us, Western atheists, where we come from this Western worldview of atheism and secularism and plurality. I can't even. Never rolls off my tongue, but anyway, so that's a mistake I made. So Ambedkar was apparently a bit different. So yeah, that's just a correction.
Yeah, I saw a movie, The Rise of the Shudra, and at the end of it, the people were praising. I realized the whole movie was a Buddhist thing, praising
Propaganda?
Ambedkar as yeah. No, it was very good. It was a good movie. I liked it.
Buddhist
But yeah,
propaganda, though?
and it was a more of a pro Ambedkar movie that than a Buddhist propaganda. But they were celebrating Buddhism as well. So yeah, as well as it was an
but
anti-caste pro
I get
Ambedkar.
that. I get that. But if there was a religion that came out that was against anti-slavery or anti-sex slavery or anti-polygamy religion that came out and it shat on Islam, that wouldn't. We're not just going to, or even a cult. Yeah, well, I guess some people might say this new ex-Muslim movement is a cult as well. Well, yeah, okay, each to their own, I guess.
No.
Okay.
Anyways,
I gotta go
I'm
to a couple.
starving.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Vic. Thank you very much for coming. You want to add something?
Thank you, Vic.
That's why earlier, because I googled his name and I looked up what religion he was, and they said he converted to Buddhism, but you guys said he's an atheist. So I was like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah, no, but a lot of Buddhists do claim that they're atheists because there's no God in Buddhism, but it does come with its own set of rules and worldviews, which does make it which does kind of box them in. So, like for example, Armin and I being these atheists, like with some people say, you know, with this Western non-Abrahamic, anti-Abrahamic worldview, we can clash on so many things. There are no set rules per se. We can look into it, but when you go into any religious box, then yeah, what they would say that okay, for Buddhism there are like 5 principles. They would say and simple people when they convert to Buddhism, they'll be like, yeah, okay, I got to subscribe to these 5 ideas. We don't have that. You and Armin and I can disagree on pretty much every single thing except for the fact that I believe that there is no God, and we could still be in the same boat. So it doesn't come with a code of life, although we do arrive at similar conclusions more often than not. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Vikram, I'm just going to quickly, I want to go through a couple of these really funny stories, funny videos, okay? I really want to see your reaction. So we always say, and we were just talking about religions make you do extremely stupid things. And I always say that if, you know, we go through these moments in our lives when we think that, okay, I'm so stupid. Like, for example, when I lock horns with Armin, I'm at the edge of my seat and I'm thinking, oh my God, what is he going to throw? Am I going to be able to defend my worldview, or I'm going to embarrass myself? So whenever that happens in my life or in your life, you can always find solace and content and some satisfaction and some joy that there are fully grown, supposedly rational people who do this. You ready, Armin?
Yes, I'm very interested now.
Oh, boom! He's getting so angry, he's getting so carried away. He's coming again after this. You ruined my life, boom! And he's taking off his shoes. He's gonna throw in the shoes. No, that's plenty. He's like, no, hold me back.
Oh my God.
I'm going for it. So those of you who don't know what's going on here, there is this ceremony after Hajj. This old man, he's got something. I think there's something personal. He's taking it personally against him. So there is a ceremony in after Hajj. It's called what is it called? Stoning the devil. Yeah, stoning the devil. So there was this tiny little wall back in the day of the Prophet, and it said after you do a Hajj, and then you punish. Then Allah ties up Shaitan to this wall, and all these people go around and then throw stones at him. And this is what this guy is doing. And because there are more Muslims now, more Muslims go there, more Muslims perform this Hajj pilgrimage. So they have actually increased the number of walls. So basically the Shaitan has actually increased in size. So this is what this guy is doing.
He's gained weight.
Yeah, he's gained weight. So he's getting more and more, he's becoming more powerful. And look at this. This guy's like, he's literally, I think, but all jokes aside, Armin.
You know, that's where this devil came and tempted Abraham to not kill his son, kind of.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. So that's where you. So the story is that when Abraham was going to kill his son, Ishmael, not Isaac. Ishmael in Arabic, in Islam, right? Isaac in Christianity and Judaism, Ishmael in Islam. The devil came to him and says, like, dude, you're killing your own son, but you love your son. Why don't do that? And and Abraham said, go away, the devil. And then the second time he came to him, like, dude, are you seriously going to do this? Killing your own son? That's not right. And then
he was more
Abraham
humane.
Go away. Yeah. And then the third time he came to Abraham got to the ground and he picked 3 stones and said, go away, Satan. And he's like, threw the stones at Satan. So now, based on that beautiful tradition of Abraham throwing stone at Satan, people now follow Abraham's model and they throw the stones, small stones at the devil, at the hedge, right?
But
this kind of doing it very aggressively, yeah.
Yeah, but more passionately, I think is the word, because, well, I guess. But it was comical. But all jokes aside, imagine the state of mind of fully grown, supposedly rational people. You'd think that you have to be rational. It always fascinates me when I think that you would not run into a person, no matter how religious he is. If his car breaks down, he's not going to sit there and pray to his God, oh, God, fix my car. He might do that, but he would also call RACV, or he would call the mobile mechanic or whatever, or get it towed away. He knows that if he doesn't take any action, the car would stay there, and he knows this. But there is something so terrible about religion that people have this audacity to contain 2 parallel thought processes and live their lives seemingly normally. So this guy, whatever problems he might have had, he might have cheated on his wife, or he might have wronged his son, or not taken care of his parents, or whatever it was. In this very moment, because by the way, you got to remember, when you perform Hajj, you become as though you have just come out of your mother's womb. Sinless. That's the belief. So he's performed this Hajj and he's thinking, I'm clean, but this is something personal against that devil. When I did not look after my dying mother, it was you. When I cheated on my wife and I got a boner and I accidentally slipped into this other woman's vagina, that was you! Fuck you, mother! That was the passion that was displayed here. But this actually happens. Only religion can do this to an individual's brain. Isn't that amazing? Fascinating. This is fascinating stuff. This other thing I wanted to
always the gingers when it comes to that.
This is not that kind of ginger. This is different stuff. I know, Armin. One more video straight from Australia. You've been here, and a lot of people tell me, like, again, this is like ignorance of Pakistanis and Indians mostly. Especially on my Urdu channels, people tell me, like, oh, you live in a Christian country, why don't you say anything about Christianity? You will get in trouble. And it's so stupid that every time I try to, I don't even answer it, but because I know that if I answered it, my brain cells will literally start dying as I speak. But Urdu and Hindi crowd is different. But I played this video on my Urdu stream. So there was an incident here on Australian national TV a few days ago. This Aussie gay comedian made a funny joke. I think you would like it, but if you're a fundamentalist, it might be offensive to some Christians, but hey, we're going to play it. He made this joke. Let's have a look.
And I get a whole bunch on TikTok. Sorry, I didn't know that reflex still worked.
Gag reflex.
I get a whole bunch on TikTok coming at me from a religious angle, right? Which I think is hilarious because queer people, LGBTQIA+, predate any idea of God. We're present in the animal kingdom. If you go prior to the Cambrian explosion, I'm sure there were 2 amoebas listening to Lady Gaga, doing poppers and banging away. So I think it's hilarious when someone messages me and says, you have to accept Jesus's love or you will burn in hell. Because I love Jesus. I love any man who can get nailed for 3 days straight and come back for more.
Got a question, Wal?
Not about that.
He didn't understand.
Walid Ali, by the way, is a Muslim, and he's very politically correct. But it's funny, you know, like, and Project Channel 10 is a very, very woke channel. But that's the hypocrisy. Nobody says anything about Prophet Muhammad or Islam or anything. All these are all Wokistanis, and they protect the token brown guy, Walid Ali. But anyway, that's fine. But it's amazing that how they like that joke. And, you know, like the gay man making a joke is like, yeah, well, any guy who loves getting nailed, who gets nailed for 3 days straight, and then he comes back and says, give me more. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. So he just makes a joke, and then there's an awkward silence for a little bit. But now some Christians in Australia are demanding apology, and they're saying, no, there ain't no apology coming from us.
He didn't understand any of that.
It's fair. I spoke very quickly.
You did. You do speak very quickly. Like, you just have such a lot of...
Anyway, I think this is it. The rest is So there you go. This is what happens when you live in a free society, when you live in a free world. This is how religion or any other idea or any other sacred personality is dealt with. This is what you do. And yes, I understand it could be offensive to a lot of people. They don't want to hear that. I may not want to hear a lot of things, but unfortunately, in order to keep a society free, and in order to keep religions and theocracies and these ideas, violent ideas, because we have 2,000 years of human history to show for that what happens when you give these sacred personalities or these sacred ideas this reverence, this green light of, hey, we're not going to say anything about you. When we give these ideas this special privilege, then we know what happens. Those countries turn into theocracies. Okay, so that's why this might be a bitter pill to swallow and might be uncomfortable. You don't want to hear about Jesus getting nailed for 3 days and saying, hey, I want more. I get it. You don't want to hear it, but that's a small price to pay. So Australia does not become Afghanistan or Iran or Pakistan. That's a small price to pay. What do you reckon, Armin?
Yeah, no, pretty well said. This is why we need to normalize taking jabs at Islam as well, because it's not just about jokes and cartoons and insults. It's about basically removing the holiness of your religion. The utility of that is that it loses its place in society in a way that it cannot govern over people, right? So religion requires to be sacred for it to be used as a tool to govern over people. And if you could make fun of it, if you could ridicule it, it will not remain sacred, and it will use that utility. So there's a lot of, that's why it's so important to be able to normalize ridiculing religions.
Yeah,
it defangs it basically.
Yeah.
But anyways, let's get out of here. We're like 46 minutes over time. So
all right.
And seriously, like, I'm actually smelling chicken. Somebody's cooking chicken downstairs. Like, I can't believe. As soon as we started talking about chicken, I realized that somebody's cooking chicken. So I need to go see what's happening.
Animal killer.
I'm not. Somebody else is cooking it. I'm just gonna go eat. Like, I wasn't me who murdered them.
Yeah. Well, now that chicken is already dead. So
yes, it's already dead.
Let me enjoy the drumstick.
Yes.
All right.
Oh yeah, we need to. Yes, sacred cows make good burgers. Go with that line. Sacred cows make good burgers.
That one is a little bit different. I know I did do it to piss off a radical Hindu, because he said that, I can even reach out to you in Australia. Yeah, really, here it is. I did that for him, but the poor cow would not appreciate. Poor cow would say, "Why are you freaking killing me just to piss him off? Screw him."
No, I'm not talking about literal cows. So when I say sacred cows make good burgers, we're talking about people's ideas. Yeah. Sacred cows are not actual cows.
Yeah, but you still eat. You'd still eat a steak, though, anyway.
I know, but I don't do it to Hindu, like, ha, and look at me enjoying a steak. I don't do that.
you do that with the Kali Ma.
Well,
ladies. Look at this.
That is first of all me improving the goddesses, so they should appreciate that. Yes. So I actually still demand a thank you rather than an offense. Like honestly, like what's wrong? I appreciate Hindu gods. Everything I did with Hindu gods and goddesses was appreciating them. I didn't insult any of them. So I don't know. You think I was nailing? I was like I read nailing. You think I was trying to insult them? I wasn't insulting them.
Even if you were, that's fine.
I was nailing them. Okay. All right. So,
all right, guys. Look at this comment. Let's go. My roommate is a newly Muslim convert. I just left for a while.
Oh no.
Talk to her about it. Oh my gosh, she's fallen in love with a Muslim man. Oh boy, that's probably the reason why she's converted to Islam. Maybe tell us more, Sarah. Maybe send Armin or me an email. Anyway, or if you don't want to, because it's a breach of privacy. But anyway, all right, guys, thank you very much for coming in and being a part of the show. And that was another amazing episode of Secular Jihadists. And we will see you. Yes, share, and share, and become a patron of Armin Navabi, Secular Jihadists, or Har Sultan. And every support that you give us, it matters a lot, and that encourages and motivates us to keep producing amazing content. And I quickly forgot to tell you, do check out my new videos. I'm making a lot of new videos, like scripted videos, edited, high quality edited videos. I made a video on Ayurveda, video on India-Pakistan rivalry, and China's century of humiliation. And also feel free to tell me what other subjects I can make a movie on, because I have a very intelligent friend who tells me a lot about it. So all right, people.
All right, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
See you next week. Bye.
You press the end button.